Hello, little chatfish, and welcome to another Bunchcast. Today we'll be talking about a singular game because, well, actually we'll talk about a couple of games because there have been a lot of games that have come out lately in the new year, the 2025, that have done with mixed results, I guess we could say. But the game we're going to focus on today is going to be a game called Avowed, released by Obsidian Entertainment, or developed by Obsidian Entertainment and released by Xbox Studios. This particular game, if you're not familiar with Obsidian Entertainment's work, was the guys who originally made Fallout New Vegas, but bear in mind, timeline-wise, that was many, many, many years ago. And so I think what we can safely see is we've talked about this before on this channel, but basically degradation over time, decay. You have new people coming into a studio with a different vision, a different idea, and then the old people leave. But the old people don't really train the new people, or the new people that come in don't respect the old people. In this particular case, this game isn't as egregious as Dragon Age Veilguard, where it's just a massive departure. Avowed is relatively close to Pillars of Eternity, relatively, not artistically though, meaning that it's more respectful to the source material comparatively to Veilguard, which we played earlier this year. And I can safely say that after that analysis alone, that doesn't particularly make this game stand at a particularly high standard. Mostly due to the fact that the game itself is rather, well, not good, to put it bluntly. The game is archaic. It is behind the times. It's basically reminds me of Borderlands 2 if it was a medieval game in the modern era. And so, despite it being, not as egregious as in, like, the worst game ever, it isn't. It's mediocre at best, and that's being fair to the game. But it has very little value beyond that. And I think it's just honestly going to be a forgotten game, but it's a valuable lesson to learn, because when we talk about Avowed, one thing, yeah, Veilguard was technically last year, but it came out relatively recently, Chad. Either way, Avowed is one of those games where it doesn't really do anything new. Like, combat mechanics-wise, you can dual-wield wands, you can dual-wield weapons. It's got a basic block and dash system for dodging out of the way of attacks, but it has nothing kinetic in terms of weapons or combat that makes anything feel good when you play this game. The combat feels spongy, and often you'll ask yourself, like, God, I really want to turn down the difficulty, not because the game is hard, particularly, but to rather make it so that the boss encounter is less chip damage. This is one of those games where you wail on a target for what feels like an eternity, and you slowly, gradually chip away at it as you just continue a limitless cycle of attacks, dodges, and parries. And while visually it goes for a massive amount of flair, the same amount of flair we've seen in other games that don't have a lot of substance, to try to wow and dazzle the player, it doesn't really have a whole lot of actual meat or validity to it. It's just mediocre at best. And at worst, it's grindy and boring, which is really bad. Now,
We were
go ahead.
we were comparing it to Skyrim during the stream we had of the game.
It's like a slightly better version of
I
Skyrim, but even then,
feel
that's bad.
I feel like a better comparison would be to Greedfall,
I don't
because
think
that's
so.
also a game that wants to be like Skyrim, but
That's more like that
also
game.
comes up really
That
short.
game more wants to be like fucking Mass Effect or Dragon Age. At least that's what Greedfall felt like for me.
In a
This
way, but like
Avowed was way more like trying to be like Skyrim. Way more. Down to
The
its
initial
everything, its user interface, how it organizes abilities. Like, the people who designed
marketing.
the UI and the assets for things, they are very much big Skyrim players, but they didn't really do anything with it. And this is what we need to talk about, because stagnation, right? A big AAA publisher, Xbox Game Studios, pumped out a relatively mediocre and forgettable experience. Like, for example, I have zero will or initiative to really want to return to this game. This game really doesn't have anything of particular value. It just doesn't. It had an interesting setup, in the sense that, like, oh, there's a conspiracy and stuff like that, and the Emperor sent you. But once you actually make landfall on the island and you start doing stuff, it just immediately degrades relatively quickly. And despite them getting big voice actors in this project, because they even got I forget the guy's name, but the guy who plays Garrus Vakarian from Mass Effect, and he's your immediate companion. And I know exactly why they did that. Number one is one of the most popular character companions or bro companions of any BioWare game throughout history is people will either cite HK if they're older, or if they're a bit younger, they'll probably just cite Garrus Vakarian, you know. And HK was more of a meme than anything else. So the reason why they got the VA was purely to bank on that, and that's also why they make the Fish Garrus guy your first companion right off the bat, because they're desperately trying to get you sold on this game, right? And even with the Garrus Vakarian like voice actor, or the Garrus guy, right? I'll just call him Garrus, Fish Garrus, if you will. It's his character is okay, it's all right, but there's nothing really compelling about the world itself. Visually and artistically, this game is sterile. It feels like it was designed in a corporate office where everything had to be pre-approved to be as inoffensive as possible. And I almost mean that double-edged so. Now, there is elements of wokeism in this game, but honestly, they're negligible because the bigger problems are far more critical than that. That's just like tip of the iceberg problems. This game fundamentally at its core is just old. It's an old game masqueraded as a new game that was supposed to come out in 2025. This game remove the 2025 and put 2005 there or 2015 and you'll have the same ballpark experience. It's a decade old. It does nothing new with the combat mechanics or systems to stand out mechanically as a game, and more or less, it just doesn't feel like it is an RPG. It's barely an RPG, honestly. Yeah, your character stats, attributes, and whatnot go towards different dialogue options, which might influence certain story aspects and definitely responses, but they don't really feel like there's a lot of RPG here. Like when you go into the city, for example, of Paradis, there's nothing you can do particularly unique there. You can't steal stuff. You can't talk to people. You can talk to people, but it's like you pick up a quest. There's a merchant there. It's about as much of an RPG that Borderlands is. And while linear RPGs are nothing to sneeze at, some of the best written stories are the most linear. In this particular case, they do nothing with its linearity. It gains no strong suit. Its only strong suit that I can safely say the game really had was that you could mix and match weapons, which was a novel concept, but it gets stale relatively quickly. The other positive thing I could possibly think of about this game was the open world exploration, being like, you can see a tower, you can climb that tower, you can go up there, there's probably some loot up there. And odds are, yeah, there is like content and stuff, and exploration is like honestly the strongest part of this game. The combat is actually the weakest part, and the story, well, it starts off interesting, has some interesting dynamic choices that are cool, but they don't do enough with. For example, there is a temple in this game where you meet a woman and she's a priestess, and really quickly you can deduce that just by listening to how she talks with you and how you engage with her when you ask her questions, that she is obviously an enemy of your empire, the Adiran Empire. And you can just straight up be like, she'll try to kick you out of the church and be like, nope, I know who you are, and you kill her. And if you kill her, you find out right away that, yeah, no, she's evil. And underneath the temple is a massive rebel underground network. And now as an Imperial agent, you're going to go in and wipe them out. The certain aspects of the narrative are interesting if they had been done and executed better. Like, not being a rebel is actually a positive highlight for a change. You are an emissary for the Emperor of a massive empire sent to investigate a dream scourge. And while that's really cool on the surface level, the reality is that it's they don't do enough with it. Like they have some throwaway lines like you can steal anything, and the throwaway lines in the game from NPCs will be like, "Oh, you can't do that. That's a crime scene." And oh wait, nope, that's the emissary. Oh, and it's like, all right, yeah. Well, they address it, but because you're an emissary, they don't actually do all that much with
They
it.
hand wave
So much better.
literally all of the interaction that you would have with stealing.
Which is funny because even then, an emissary, like an actual nation, right, would not be given this much leeway.
I mean,
Correct.
even if we had given that
Like,
leeway,
if an,
there should be
if an
consequences, right? So let's
yeah,
say
that's
we
what I'm
do
getting to.
steal.
Like,
Hold
if
on.
an envoy tried to do it, they would be arrested.
Like, There should be like a complaints launched against whatever fucking thing you answer to.
The
And if
more,
you get a certain amount of them, then you get fucking penalized.
yep, the emperor like penalizes you. He's like, you're representing me and you're making me look like an idiot. Like the emperor should, because you answer directly to the emperor. The other thing that they really missed the opportunity here with is that you are a representative of the Adiran Empire, and so your interactions in the city should either agitate or alleviate and basically like basically like suck the air out of the room for the rebels. And so your interactions and how authoritative you are or how lenient you are should affect whether certain characters join this rebel group or underground group that's basically fighting against the empire. Because the big factors is you have a rebel group, you've got pirates in this area, you got some contraband stuff going on, and then you have the big thing, which is what the emperor is worried about, which is the dream scourge, which is that fungal parasite that sort of like is a spiritual plague. It calls it a spiritual disease, but what's weird is that it doesn't. Now we didn't get super far into it, but it didn't really have a whole lot of spiritual tethers. Though I'm 90% certain that the voice talking to you off the bat is literally just the dream scourge speaking to you.
I was gonna say, like,
I already have an idea about that.
when you hear the description of what the Dream Scourge does, it's like, wait, hold on. Main character checks off that tick box. Oh, getting talked to in dream. Oh, check that off. Randomly called the island for some reason. Check off that
Yeah.
box. Wait a minute.
Yeah, so it's like our
Yeah,
god
and,
or something calling us.
Now,
No.
about that.
two things quick. Music,
Oh yeah.
and you were saying earlier about how the enemies were really spongy. Was that any different when did you ever turn the difficulty down?
Yes.
And was still like that?
If you turn the difficulty down, and I've talked to people that have played this game, it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of spongy. It's just the difficulty is how spongy the enemies are and how much damage they deal to you and how weak you feel.
So it's the lazy method.
Yes,
of
they
difficulty.
chose the
It
lazy method.
also there's that, and there's also seemingly the game expects you to do a decent amount of grinding because you didn't get that far into the game, but just going through the main quest a little bit,
Yeah.
you were already hitting like tier 2 or tier 3 enemies above of what you quote unquote should be on par with.
Yeah, the World of Warcraft actually walk into the wrong area.
Yeah, pretty
Yes.
much. Except it's like
Me-
the zone itself, right? Because like you can walk 5 feet over to another block, and it's like moving in Chicago. Like we basically described Paradise as literally Chicago. It's a borderline war zone. You move from one street, there's like level 1 enemies. Another street, tier 3s, which are just skulls across the board, and it's like, okay. Okay. Yeah, and it also really does expect you to grind a lot of low-level quests in order to progress the main story. So you can't even engage with the main story unless you grind the quests. Because when we tried to progress, we could win, technically, but it would be very sloggy, I will say that.
Like I would expect maybe near the end game having to grind a little bit. Like maybe like an hour or so near the end of the fucking game. But you got how far into it before it's like, okay, no, I have to start doing side quests to even become viable.
It was almost right away. And one thing I'm noticing, the story, for example, to go off the Dream Scourge, it borrows so many story elements from the first game that if you're even a little bit familiar with the universe, you can already predict what the Dream Scourge is, who the real main villain is, every single potential plot. Was it a surprise? Every single possible backstab, you could predict every single one of those. And you can tell that it's a decline by age. Because Obsidian's been around for a long time, and the first Pillars of Eternity game was released 10 years ago, with a lot of expansions. This is a very well-established universe, and the new blood, you can tell, didn't fully understand, probably because of brain drain, that they didn't fully understand how to build off of that, and they decided to just borrow story elements from their previous games. And a lot of the new characters, it doesn't have that Pillars of Eternity 1 or even 2 feel. I'll take a point from 2. Yeah, you have all this internal tension in Paradise. Yeah, you have the Rebels, you have the Adiran Empire. In Pillars of Eternity 2, for example, you could pick whatever faction you want and backstab whoever you wanted. I don't really see that ability in this game.
I have
You're
a
kinda
theory
just
that
forced
you
into
can, I'm gonna.
I hope you can.
I feel like you can because you can decide certain things, right? But
Yeah.
the big issue, right? When we talk about the story's got some interesting things going on, but the underlying problem is the gameplay. The gameplay is so like boring. And here's the thing, right? With most RPGs gameplay sucks. Or if we're lucky, it's passable, and if you're really lucky, it's kind of fun. And if you're very, very lucky, it's really good and you really enjoy it. But most often than not, most RPGs gameplay is always the weakest aspect. The story normally carries it. The issue with this game is that it's so sloggy and slow grindy. It feels like an MMO where it's like you have to just sort of slog your way through it. And maybe that also is compounded by how enemies feel in this game in general. Just the base enemies. Like they're just kind of annoying in terms of how they're designed. So you got these little bastards that'll throw javelins at you or throw things at you. And what it sort of feels like in combat is it feels like visual vomit on your screen. Because you get like a little pop-up of whether someone's going to throw something at you, and you can dodge it. You also have other annoying enemy design where there are enemies that don't just buff or change the abilities of other units. Because, oh my god, like the enemy design is one of the biggest problems with this game. Like, they have just healers that just heal. And if you know anything about RPG or combat design, usually healing is not a very good idea, at least for combat things. What you normally want to do is you want to augment abilities, or like the shaman enables them to have like a super enraged attack, or maybe the shaman harvests the blood out of the Zorops and uses it to attack you or something. And it drains them, but it has like a cost and effect value, right? And so there's different mechanical things. The game is kind of designed in such a way that it's just annoying, and the entire enemy roster is annoying. I will say that the enemies were a bit more refreshing because it wasn't just goblins. It's like, okay, Zorops are dinosaur people, I know.
They're kobolds.
But-
Wow.
But here's the issue, right? That's cute at first because, like, okay, Zorops are like the base fodder enemy. But, like, for some reason, I swear to God, every culture or civilization in this island, maybe it's just this island, I don't know, Fuzzy, maybe you can tell me, but they've all somehow managed to tame bears. And there is no in-faction fighting, right? When we played, the skeletons and the undead and the bears and the Zorops, they teamed up to fight the player. They never fight amongst themselves. They team up to fight you. They also have aggro distances and aggro draw distances as if it was an MMO. Meaning that
I have a
you
feeling
can kite on the edge of a combat encounter and just shoot them and they can't get you.
I have a feeling that's more due to the fact that NPCs are either flagged as enemy or ally, and there's no distinguishing between them.
You're not given an actual faction
Red versus
to belong
blue.
to.
Yep, it doesn't have
Yes.
sub-factions, because what really always makes like RPGs like this really interesting is faction infighting, right? You can even take like a binary faction infighting thing. Look at Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War, right? You get Orky Borkies that'll side with you and fight with you, and they'll fight alongside you against the other Orkies.
Or they'll
you
just
use it.
naturally sabotage each other.
Yeah, or they'll fight amongst themselves. And so you get NPC infighting. Hell, even Doom has that, where if you can line yourself up in a way that an enemy shoots another enemy, the enemy NPCs infight, and you can use them to
I
kill
don't
each
know,
other.
dude.
That is based off of what type of enemy they are.
Yes, that's
Just-
also
just
factors.
because
But
of
it
the
still
coding.
happens.
But yes, the point is, it still does happen. You can get a Capra demon to start attacking regular zombies.
Now, it might just be because of this game, but Obsidian has done stuff like this before. Faction fighting. You have different factions that would fight each other. They either be friendly, neutral, where, yeah, they won't fight against you, but if you attack them and the other one, they will... There is this faction infighting, like kind of like a three-way war. That has been done before, but... so far, and this might just because we're in the first zone, we haven't seen that so far. It also might just be because of how they designed this game, because this game had its fair share of development troubles, and you can tell by just the main confirmation there was going to be multiplayer features that were cut, and the clear change in art style from the initial reveal shows that something was going on behind the scenes when Obsidian went from, okay, they had to work with limited funds when they were doing crowdsourcing and crowdfunding and trying to get funds for the first Pillars of Eternity game, to, okay, they have buttloads of resources and potential institutional knowledge from being bought by Microsoft.
Yep.
Clearly something happened along those 10 years.
F. Pressett is
5-year
saying
development.
Yes.
that they saw.
So I'll handle that. So the big thing is that while the NPCs look like they fight, they don't really. When you arrive, they all form like a alliance against you. At least from my experiences with every time there was spiders, Zorups, or undead, or any of those three in the mix, they will just single-mindedly go after you. They do not infight. They go straight after you.
So it could be a background like thing they do for tech like flavor, but they don't
They're not actually
actively
fighting.
do it.
Yeah, I've never seen them kill each other. They certainly didn't look like they were damaging each other. It looked like they were just, and it didn't really look like they were fighting. It looked like they were just sort of like being territorial more than anything else.
So what I realized when you were playing was that you know how in Baldur's Gate 3 you get that woman voice that talks to you in the back of your mind.
Oh God. Yep.
It's just a ripoff. That's all I see.
Yeah, they do that where like, oh, your character feels like he's got a big dildo up his ass. And it's like, all right, thank you for sharing, narrator.
Turn
me and make me feel it.
As you turn it, you feel it very uncomfortably move inside of you. Okay,
and your
thank
character,
you, game.
all they do is just like, and
they make like
They
dumb
tell
faces.
they tell you how you're supposed to be feeling. You are angry.
because they don't have the budget to actually make you animate all those things out. They're just telling you like
Yep.
your character feels bad.
Because Baldur's
You
Gate
wink
3
seductively.
Baldur's Gate 3 was a particularly bad RPG when it came to your character, especially due to the fact that they just sort of told you things rather than show you anything. And that's bad storytelling. I don't know why they did the narration thing. I think they were trying to do a game master vibe, but I feel like that
Yes, they were,
execution-wise did
because
not work.
the best way to the best way to view that story, it's basically a bunch of people having their own personal like D&D stuff, and they just happen to be super fucking rich, and that's what they paid for. That's the best way to view Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, because narratively, it wasn't a very good story. In fact, it was a kind of a bad story. Like, it wasn't particularly well written, nor was the characters
It
good.
unironically touches on stuff which the little bit I know about that particular setting they were using in D&D, it's like, no, that's not how that would work. But okay, whatever, dude.
Actually, on the topic of the game just telling you your character does things and like how to feel, I was very amused at how you would have dialogue things of like, oh, you wink at them, and your character's
my
face
God.
completely covered.
Yeah, you can like wink at them, and you can't even see your face because you're an ugly mushroom monster thing. And
Yeah.
the other thing is that the dialogue itself is kind of cringe. Like when at first I thought it was funny. I was like, oh my God, it says wink right there, like it's some sort of like, I don't know, like LARP or Reddit fucking post or some shit. And it does that a lot, where it's like wink or looks aggressively at you, and it's like, what does that mean? Like what is some of these dialogue options are so dumb in this thing, where it's like stares silently, looking off into the sunset. Like it says shit like that.
Gives you bedroom.
That's a-
Or
What does that mean?
or the issue of when we were in the bar when we were talking to the dwarf, watching them argue or whatever, and then as soon as you go to do your like choice of what you're going to do for dialogue, the two fucking characters that are arguing stare at you.
Yeah,
And then once you make your choice, they go back to what they're doing, as if it's some kind of play.
as if it's a play, and it's like, oh my God, that was so cringe, because I just
The thing
chose to
is
stay
that
silent, and so
unironically-
they just look at you and then go back to talking. Look at you, go back to talking.
It unironically reminds me of the old BioWare games where they basically have to wait for your input, and then and then at that point they can continue doing what they're being programmed to do.
Yeah.
It's like they're expecting the player not to choose the silent option. So if you choose that option, the game just doesn't know how to handle it. It's like, I don't know, they look at you, whatever. They look at you. I mean, I guess we're standing uncomfortably close and staring at them, so that's fair.
Don't get me wrong, I've had conversations where it's like I've been talking to like a person and another person walks up. I don't say anything, but we both just look at the person for half a second, and then we continue what we're doing.
It's like they're
But
joining
yeah,
the conversation or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the more we cover these topics, it's clear Obsidian lost institutional knowledge after being acquired by Microsoft. There was clearly some brain drain, because on top of the dialogue not being up to previous standards, to zero back to the combat, there's only 3 classes. In
Yeah.
previous games, when they had a lot less budget, we had Now, granted, because it's a very different combat system, this is not a real-time CRPG, so bear that in mind.
So
We should at least have more than just a base 3.
So here's my issue, right, with the combat. The akimbo wands is one of the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
It's funny.
Why don't they just have a single wand as a focal point, and then you can
you just
cast
do
with that
both.
hand, and you can cast with the other hand open. But the one does the thing both. But it's like using Skyrim's magic, where it's dual-handed, not use
Honestly,
two different wands.
I feel like that's pretty much where they got it from, where they like the idea of each hand being able to do its own thing. But instead, what they probably should have done is, like, if you have a wand, like that's what you're using, and your offhand can do other stuff. But the dual wand thing is just fuck it. It looks special.
In a better game system with a better combat system, the Grimoire idea is cool. The Grimoire system in this game is you have a book, and the book has a set number of spells in the book, and you hold it on your offhand and then use a sword or a gun or whatever in your other hand to fight. And then you can cast a spell, and any of those spells in there, on top of the spells you already know of already. So it's like an additional toolbar of spells, which is neat, but that's about it.
The one thing I can think of is that what they were thinking of is in certain like roleplay settings, like a wand has a specific number of charges, and in a setting like that, where your equipment has an amount of charges you can expend, I could see in that situation dual wielding wands, but that's not how this universe is set up, or at the very least how it's presented so far. Like, the wand is just a focal point for you to do your magic.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the big problem with the Akimbo system is, while it's adorable at first and amusing, it's only an amusing, like, gimmick.
Akimbo is really only... It's not even actually this in real life, but whatever. It's more realistic, quote-unquote, for firearms.
Mm-hmm.
I can see, like...
Yeah, except the
dual
matchlock
wielding, like,
pistols. Like,
yeah, like, that works. But, like, and I can see it, you have a dominant hand where you have your long sword, or, you know, your primary melee weapon, and then a shorter offhand to, like,
That reminds
parry
me.
stab.
The flintlock pistol that you use, you can do dual wield those, and then you move when you fire one, your hand moves down,
Yep.
and then comes up with a loaded gun.
Magic.
But you haven't moved your other hand. How is it loading?
They're loading it with their third
It's
hand,
not
obviously.
possible, like, the reality, because even like I think it's a flintlock. So basically, yeah, you need
Supposed
to
to be
you need
based
to
on what it
shove
looks
the
like.
pellet down there, because if you fire the arquebus actually has a super sped up animation of a
Oh,
loading animation.
it is so fast compared to how long it
Like,
quote,
it
actually-
does show him putting the ball
the
in,
powder
the
in
powder,
with
the
the
ball,
ramrod.
and then the ramrod. It's so half-assedly like stuffed down there that you know that thing is
Because
going to
unironically,
misfire.
it would take like 30 or 40 seconds to do it fully, and that was even with people that were trained and drilled to do that quickly.
Yeah, so even though they've arcadified it, and also there's no ammunition. So the big thing is, like, okay, removing ammunition from the game, I'm not actually opposed to. In fact, I think that could work. It could be interesting if you actually do something with it, right? Like, okay, you don't want me to worry about ammunition, so let's focus more on the combat. All right, you're not going for a sim, you're going for more like a story-driven RPG.
Plus, this is
combat.
like a definitively like a very high fantasy setting.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of games that don't factor in ammo, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. My whole point about that is that is a totally fine mechanic, but the issue is that in place of that, I would expect the combat system to be super in depth and super expansive and like interesting and like have all these neat little things or like synergetic things, and it really kind of doesn't. It doesn't have any synergy.
It doesn't.
Not with your party
For 5
members
years
either.
of development, it's missing a lot of spells, a lot of just a lot.
Well,
for 5 years of development.
not just spells, right? Like, let's talk about how the combat plays, right? You have 2 companion characters you can bring with you, sort of like BioWare. So they took a little bit of inspiration there, right? They have their own abilities, but they don't have any synergy with you for the most part. Like, their abilities don't really do anything. Besides, like, yeah, you can press F and, like, entangle them, and then you shoot them and whatnot. But, like, as far as the interplay goes, that's it. They don't do anything more. Like, you can't have an ability where how do I explain it? Like, in Dynasty Warriors, there's more character synergy with your character companion you bring with you there in the new Dynasty Warriors game, because you get abilities and stuff that you do and trigger together if they're alive. And then those things actually change how they fight and how you fight, and you can actually switch to their control too, which is kind of cool and adds a lot more variety to the gameplay. Here, they have like 2 to 3, or I think 4 abilities in total per character. And beyond that, they're just kind of like, they just help you do damage. And I feel like because they have these companions, I feel like the developers are like, oh, well, the player has 2 NPC companions, so I don't know, let's increase how spongy everything is. And so now when you fight something, it takes like a bajillion hits to kill them.
That's probably why the enemies have so much health, is that the combat takes as long as they want it to.
See, there's a difference between too long or too short, right? Like, compare this to another RPG that came out not that long ago, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. The combat is kind of short and kind of sweet. It's not super long as far as combat goes. You can get into some duels that last like, you know, like a minute or a few minutes, yeah, but usually those are intense. And there's a lot of tensity there because you can't like get hit. You got to manage your stamina and stuff like that. In this game, you have a stamina thing. You do have to manage that. There is a stagger system. There is blocking and dodging, but there isn't really like a counter parry system at all. Like, there's no perfect parries, at least from my experience with this game. Either that, or I'm just really bad at perfect parries in this game for some reason. There is, and then somebody should tell me about that, because everything just felt so floaty here. Like, when I strike an enemy target, they don't really recoil unless I use a certain like attack. Versus in many other games, if I strike a target, usually they react. Helldivers 2 or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, both games, when I strike a target or a foe, they usually react in some way when they're hit. Either staggering or moving or reacting when being struck by a shot of kinetic force. In this game, they don't really react at all. They kind of just float. Like,
It looks like there are, I just looked it up, there are, you need, if you want to say stuns or something like that for perfect parries, that's an ability you have to unlock, say for the Ranger. That's what I'm, just from a quick look up.
Okay, because I felt like the system desperately needed that, and they locked it behind the Ranger only? Or is other classes
Yeah,
get it?
rank 1. Parry effects and how to unlock Ranger ability ranked 1. Time a perfect block against a melee attack to knock the enemy back and gain an immediately counterattack.
See, I'm not a particular big fan of that, because you're locking like what should be a core skill issue. Like, maybe, okay, so maybe the upgrade, what it should do is make it so that your parry window is increased, you know? But you should skill-wise still be able to do it. I think that's my issue. And you're not.
Because you have 2 melee options, Ranger with your Rogue, and you have the Warrior. It's like they both should have access to that at least.
This is an issue I see with quite a lot of games actually, when they want to do a skill level up system, or they'll lock integral game mechanics behind
Yeah.
the first couple levels, and just make it so that the starting actual gameplay is fucking terrible until you actually unlock those aspects of the game.
You have to grind to engage with the basic mechanics. Because certain abilities and powers and spells should be, you know, high level, yeah, or you have to work towards to get your character to understand. But like basic things, like if you parry a block, or you know, you riposte or whatever, and you do so in such a way that the enemy is staggered, or you stagger the enemy, you should be able to do that, because even a novice can strike a foe in a fist fight and knock the wind out of them. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take an expert to do that. It might take an expert to do that reliably, to know how, but the novice can still do it. You know what I'm saying? He can still throw swing a punch that catches the skilled guy off guard, because nobody attacks like that, you know?
Some of the most dangerous people in like mixed martial arts are the new people, because they don't know how to do things properly.
Yep, because they're unpredictable.
And then everyone else is expecting to do the standard stuff, not the you actually just charged at me. Okay then.
I think the most common deaths that occur during duels back when that was the thing that people just did, is when a noble would challenge like a commoner, and the commoner would just fucking charge and stab him.
In what game?
I'm talking about like real life.
In real life.
Oh, real life? Oh, yeah.
Like,
I mean, that did happen historically, because the commoner wants to live. It's not about, You know, it's survival. It's a very different mindset.
Ninja.
Well, and then because they killed a noble, they got afterwards. But
Yeah.
It depended, but usually, even though they won the duel that the noble usually started, there was usually some bad repercussions because they killed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just I really don't see the reason of locking base mechanics like that. That seems like a fundamental design issue. Like if
I
we-
can.
Oh, go ahead.
The one thing I could say is, for whatever fucking reason, they don't view it as an actual baseline mechanic, even though you can unlock it early.
Mhm.
I don't know why they would do that, but that would be the only way that I could see them trying to argue that. Well, no, because it's not an actual base mechanic. You have to do this thing, and then you can unlock that early on, so you get access to that particular thing in that skill line.
Yeah. I don't know. This game started off with an interesting narrative concept, which, like, being an emissary for the emperor, like, is like a cool idea, sent into a place to basically bring order. So you have like your character has stakes in the world. You have a connection to the world. That's a really good start. But then it just didn't do anything with it. So it just sort of fell apart really quickly. What was that music? What, the music? The music stuff is from our composer. This is the official Bunchcast track.
lo-fi corruption.
Don't worry about it. There are tracks based on our game that we're making. But yeah,
Lo-fi corruption.
I like how Robert
Interesting.
names those things. It's literally
Don't worry.
the project file
Eventually-
name. Hold on, the project file name is corruption, and then he added lo-fi to it so that it was the lo-fi variant.
Like it makes
It's
sense.
pretty
with
it's
music.
pretty straightforward. I had to explain to Chumba though.
I noticed. I was sitting right here.
How's the Aerith Lo-Fi coming along, Kips?
How's the lo-fi era thing coming along?
Mhm.
Well, firstly, little Terrapera has got to finish all the other things.
I should probably check and see if he's dead or not.
He checked in with the Fire Warrior thing. It's cursed,
Good.
Good.
Just knock on his DM window.
but it's funny.
Are you
It's
dead?
comedic. Chat will appreciate it. I even got the giggle seal of approval. I'd giggle to sign off on it.
What do my eyes see?
What did I see?
Nothing.
What are you talking about?
Because
Workshop.
I deleted it.
What do your hands eye see?
Nothing, because I'm a little guy with burgers.
If you
and
notice, you
fries.
notice. If you don't, you
Hands
don't.
is surrounded by fear and dead men.
Yeah, sounds about right. So
Dead bots specifically.
one other thing to talk about with this fucking game, right? This game needed to be fucking multiplayer. Like, it's
be
barely
fair,
playable, like single player.
from what we've heard, that was what that is what they actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
In which case, the aggressive scaling makes a bit more sense because the idea is that you'd be doing it with more people.
Yeah, but they didn't restructure it. They just give you two shitty NPC companions. Like,
Yeah,
get
yeah, I
stuck
understand
on stuff. Oh my god.
That's how that is it.
The
It
NPC
is how it
companions.
is.
So the NPC companions cannot interact with the world at all. So not only do they not interact with the world, but they also just teleport. Like if you climb or do things, they just teleport behind you. Like boop 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 boop. boop,
So
boop.
Kibbs, question then: would you prefer if they just teleported, or would you prefer to be agitated and angry because you decided to go down a weird way, and they have to run all the way, the long way, potentially aggroing even more enemies being drawn into your fight?
Jesus Louises.
So I think it's more of a
You can't drag
because
too
they-
many enemies into your fight because they do have an aggro. Well, at least
Sh-
in the open areas or the living lands, as this game calls it, there is an aggro range where you can actually sit at the outside of that range of their combat area, and you can shoot them, and they'll just run back and forth to you, and then they'll run away because they can't get to you. Even though you're standing in a grassy field, you're just standing on the edge of the combat encounter. That is really bad, by the way. Not only is
So
that
the
bad.
game has the classic ranged combat issue in open world.
Yep, if you bait enemies closer to guards or whatever, the guard NPCs do not react. At least in my playthrough, they did nothing. They just stood there, idling, like the world was fine. So yeah, the world doesn't react to what's happening. It sort of feels like more like a theme park is what it feels like. Hell, down to the visuals and the look of the artistic direction of this. It just looks like a theme park. Look at this. This picture right here conveys pretty much all the lizardmen settlements, period. They're tribally with like little tents and like, you know, little bits of water elements and sand usually near water, bodies of water generally. And like that's their theme. But they don't do anything with the water. The only thing you can do with the water, you get some environmental spells. So they thought about some things like ice. You can shoot at the water, which will create platforms for you to stand on. When I shot lightning at the water, though, it didn't seem to do anything. Now, if anyone else had different results in their playthrough, I'm not sure, but it didn't have the same environmental tethering that BioShock does. Because in BioShock, the water and the wetness of Rapture actually played a mechanical role into BioShock, literally allowing you to electrify the water or basically interact with it in ways that would do things, like it would put fires out on characters and stuff like that. So the environment had gameplay versatility, right? The set pieces.
Not only is it versatile, the environment is also a threat to you.
Yep, because you can get shocked in it too, because they can do the exact same thing you do to you.
Now, I remember early on there was areas where it seemed like they wanted you to interact with the environment for like exploration and platforming and stuff. Did that actually ever happen?
Yeah, that happens a lot. That's honestly the strongest part of this game, is the platforming. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding.
I remember there was that thing where you thought maybe you'd had to use like an ice grenade to get over to it or something.
Yeah, we probably do. We never went back to do that, but I can almost guarantee you if we used an ice grenade, we could get up there. Or an ice spell. But yeah, no, this game is... How do I put this? The combat in this game is very bad. Or not very bad. It's very mediocre. Which makes it bad. But not very bad necessarily.
It's forgettable is what it is.
Yeah. And the most memorable thing about this game, the most fun I had with this game, was when we got out of the prologue section and I just started climbing around the buildings, trying to get inside of like different things and crawling on top of things.
The exploration's done well.
Well,
you're saying.
It's the strongest part of this game. It's not necessarily done well. It's just that's the strongest element.
Compared to everything else, it's done well.
Yeah. I don't like saying done well is not a word I want to use. Because that's also a lie. It's the most interesting part of this game is the way how I'd phrase that.
All right.
Which is not a compliment. It's borderline an insult, but yeah. But yeah, if I ever played this game again, I'd rather platform than do the combat. Platforming in Paradise was more fun than fighting in the Wildlands or the Living Lands.
So, now that you've had time to sit back and reflect on it a bit more, how much do you think this game should be worth? Out of
$20.
curiosity.
It's just a budget bin title. Can you have fun with this game? Yes. Can you have fun for $70? No. Not in the slightest. That's an insult. Should it be 60? God, no. 50? No. 40? No. 30? No. 20. It's a $20 budget bin game. It's a budget
90.
bin game.
Do you think what was it? What was that game that came out for $40 that had tier to free on it? The island.
Which island?
Greedfall. There we go.
I was talking about it earlier.
Oh, Greedfall 2 is so bad.
Bucky's
Yeah, but
favorite
Greedfall
series.
1.
Greedfall.
Greedfall 1 was $40.
Yeah, Greedfall 1 is probably better than this.
I don't know.
Ouch.
I mean,
That game's pretty bad.
have you seen this game?
Yeah, I watched you play it.
The bar's pretty
Yeah,
low.
it's not very good.
Damn. Trying to throw a bone here, and you guys just slapped a bone out of the air. You slapped the bone out of your little fins. I thought Fishgar's
No.
teleportation power was a special power. No, he just teleports. Yeah, that's just because the NPCs are so poorly coded in this game, they can't actually follow you. And so the immersive elements of this game aren't very good. Like, if you're making
Yeah,
an RPG and your companions follow you around, they should... I mean, Mass Effect does it basically. Like, they just walk around with you, and that's about it. But they generally don't normally get stuck on things, from what I remember. Though it does happen more often in older BioWare games, for like the Knights of the Old Republic, a lot. Where they get stuck on a leg behind you, have to wait for them to catch up. They're waddling behind you. Hans knows all about that. He's just sitting there fumigating. He's like, I hate this. Divine Divinity.
I hate many things.
Divine Divinity have some nice environmental effects. Divinity, Original Sin is what I think we mean.
I'm assuming is what he meant. Yes.
Yeah, I mean we could probably debate Divinity. I'll debate that one because not debate. We'll discuss. Debates are cringe. I don't want to be cringe. So
It's a debate now.
my discussion on that, my feelings on Divinity is that in Original Sin 1 and 2 is that I think they leaned too heavily into the gimmick of liquids to the point where it kind of became annoying.
Wasn't the other issue with that is like when you got to mid and late game, like every opponent had a teleport.
Not only that, but
Yep.
every enemy had corrupted blood, and everyone is like only like rare things are corrupted and rare things have magic, but everyone has magic. Because
Now,
no one doesn't have magic in that game. Everyone has magic in that goddamn game.
they did
Divine
give you access
Divinity,
to Bless
Not original.
specifically,
Divine
and that
Divinity
undoes.
is the first
go
game
ahead.
of the series. It was an ARPG, not Original Sin.
Damn. Well, we're gonna
But,
ignore that because I don't even know what you're talking about. Go
At the
ahead.
very least, they gave you Bless, which was a generic ability that every character could use that just turned the cursed shit into normal shit. I kind of preferred it would turn into Bless shit instead, because Bless shit gave you a lot of free HP whenever you walk through it.
The issue though is with stuff like that at that point, it turns into basically 3.5 E, where
That's what
it's
it
like,
is, though.
like buff.
That's what all these games are. It's just D&D.
D&D's so ass.
even fucking Pillars of Eternity and Avowed is also just D&D. It's the same feeling. It's the same aesthetic.
Yeah, they don't really build their own identity.
Like they create a new race in this
New
in this
lore.
game, the furry people and the fucking fish people, but they're all just as bland. They're just people. They're not special anyway.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
do
they're
a
not
lot
like
to
the orcs or
make them
anything.
unique. What's funny is
Orcs are dead.
orcs are heavily stereotyped in sci-fi or sci-fi fantasy.
Yep, in sci-fi.
Well, sci-fi as well.
No, that's still true.
Yeah, it is.
Orcs are heavily stereotyped.
But they have, while they're incredibly basic in terms of how they're often portrayed,
Klingons.
they're pretty much, well, yeah, they're warmongers is what they are, archetypes. Klingons are the same. They fall under a specific characteristic of human culture, and then they are defined by that specific characteristic as a whole. Usually. That's one of the issues with a lot of sci-fi and fantasy settings is like, look at this. This is, fucking Mesopotamian space. Look at this. This is Roman in space. Say Roman.
They're always one note.
There's like, you're
That's
just
with
Roman.
almost every.
Look
Fantasy
here,
race.
it's ancient Egypt in space.
It's like, here, we're Egyptians, but we're basically robots. And it's like, wow.
We're Egyptians, but skeletons.
Skele-Egyptians. Beep, boop, beep, boop.
We're Egyptians, but we're little snake people.
Little snake people. Something.
We're Italians, but rats.
But rats. Regular. Care to explain?
You said, why did you say Italian twice?
Or tell.
Damn!
Actually, that's funny. Wizardry 8, for example, that's also a D&D game, but
Yeah.
they had a talking rat people in that game.
Yeah, they
and
were
they were all
literally-
Italians.
They
They
were
were
all
Italian
Italian.
mafia, but rats.
It was fucking
What
great.
the fuck are you talking about?
Alright, Wizardry 8 playthrough 1. Kids would hate it.
No, he'll
He'd hate it so much.
The enemies respawn way too goddamn quickly.
I'll take your word for that.
You clear a room, you blink. What just happened? They're all standing
Kids
back
would
up.
die a
Now
lot.
they
too.
respawn.
Save scumming RPGs is what that sounds like.
Oh, very much so.
Save scumming doesn't help you, Kibbs.
Save scumming existed for a reason in gaming. Usually it existed because of bad game design. That's the real reason. If you have to save scum, it's usually because the game is bad. Usually. Not always. That, or it's a particularly high difficulty check and you're being incredibly pedantic and you want to have it now. Instead of waiting for it.
I
Heaven
want it
forbid
now.
you don't have the gear to get the thing, but you're stubborn.
Yep. And in that case, that's just on the player. But that's not the game's fault, that's the player's fault. Fiber had some very bad enemy spawn locations. It just had that? Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Let's just not even talk about the gunplayer enemy design. Oh my god. If you there's two ways to fix Fire Warrior quickly, or there's actually a couple ways. First problem needs to be addressed is the gunplay. The guns are horrific. Second is the enemy design. God can help me. God can help me. Second and third, just make a new game. Don't make the same game.
Make the same game again.
They
Oh,
make Fire
better
Warrior 2. No, they make Fire Warrior 2 and they call it a Halo Killer again.
you gonna kill it. Halo killed itself already. Like, quit it.
Yeah. Totally,
Yeah,
accurate,
it did.
totally accurate this time.
Like, there it is over there, killed over with a knife through its chest that it drove into its own heart. Like, you killed it. Oh god, speaking of bad games. But back on topic to Avowed. Avowed is one of those games where I think at the end of the day, was it hyper woke? Was it like a fail guard? No. I think it's just mid and it's gonna be forgotten. Come this time next year, no one will remember this game. Unless the only thing I
only
can
time
think is a
people are gonna
massive
remember-
turnaround, but I doubt that.
The only time people are going to remember this game is when people are doing what came out this year type lists.
Yeah, like
The only
This
thing
game
that
came out
got
this year.
people talking about this game was like the lead writer or whatever it was ranting and raving at people about how woke his game's gonna be just to own the chudge.
honestly, he kind of lied. It's not super woke. It's a little, but it's mostly just bad.
Unless
It's
that
just-
was entirely a publicity stunt, Gibbs, and he was just doing it to drum up interest.
yes,
Yeah,
90%
but the
of
problem is that
yeah.
Henry was.
Henry did it better.
Henry did better. Yeah, and did it better. Yeah, no, unironically. Like, if you're gonna use drama to sell your game, you have to do it right. Kingdom Come Deliverance used drama to sell their game. This is gonna be another Bunchcast topic we're gonna talk about is controversies for sales, manufactured controversies. We talked about controversies briefly, but manufactured controversies are very common, or not very common. They're
game.
common enough in the industry where they specifically drum up enmities from the past, or old enmities in general, or even fresh ones, to shift attention to the game. And it works remarkably mixed results, honestly. Mixed results. Sometimes, like, oh, our game's so bad it got banned in 30 countries. Please buy Dead Space. We wanted to keep making Dead Space games.
Your mom's gonna hate it.
Your mom's gonna hate this game. Commercial flop. No, even though the game sold better, like, is like one of the best received. That's another. This is why we have to always talk about games case by case, because you can't generalize them, because each one's got their own unique fucking shit show behind the curtains.
It made a pretty good profit. Financial failure.
But we
Financial
didn't
fail-
make enough because of our ridiculous goals we set.
We wanted to
We wanted
sell.
to be the new Resident
We
Evil.
wanted to sell as well as a established franchise that's been around for a decade plus at this point.
It has a massive fucking following because it's not only large in the East and the West.
And it took years to build up. We want that now. We want that now.
Does Bond like Dead Space?
Does Bond,
Bond
like
is
Dead
a Dead
Space?
Who knows?
I'd have to go ask.
She's Bond dead herself.
Make Bond play Dead Space.
Shush, Chumba. GTA paid Fox News 20-something years ago to talk negatively about it, knowing it would get them more sales. I heard about that. Was that actually ever confirmed?
No idea.
Chatfish, you gotta tell me.
I do know that. On the other hand, Mass Effect 2 removed its lesbian relationships.
What?
No, it's gay relationships.
Oh, yeah, originally, yeah. Because originally Tally could be
Originally,
gay,
Tally would have been able to go both ways.
Yep.
but they removed
I'll
it.
look up that thing Frederick said.
Yeah, because that's true. I've heard rumors about that, but I
The
never
issue
heard
is
it.
I've never heard it
confirmed.
substantiated.
Yeah.
I
'Cause
just so
I
that people
wouldn't be
keep throwing around.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised because most video game controversies are not mostly. There's a great deal of them that are fabricated. Like a great deal of them. And it's because it drives up sales. That's why Dead Space 1 claimed it was banned in Germany and China because it was so violent, even though it wasn't. And then 2, they were like, okay, well, that lie didn't work. Your mom hates this. Your mom really hates this. And so they went
To be
around
fair,
getting a bunch of old
it
ladies
was a
to
safe
look at it.
bet. To be fair, it would have been a safe bet that if you asked like the average mother at that time, do you like this game? She would probably say no. This
Yes,
is icky and you.
because most of the previous generation at that point, especially female, were not particularly big into games.
Well,
Neither.
not even just that. Like the type of game it is wouldn't be appealing to them.
Yes, and to be being asked like, you want your kid to play this? They're gonna be like, no. It's not gonna be. Mothers are normally very controlling, at least from my experience.
So Avowed, I don't like the art style. I don't like the concept of mushroom gods. To be honest,
You don't like mushrooms? That's
no.
fair. I like.
It's just
them.
that it's the concept of nature gods. That's it. Is boring to me.
Yep.
I also
Does
did some quick look-
is it more like that it's like fetishism or something like that?
No, it's just boring of an idea. Like, oh look, you have plants growing out of your head. Congrats, you're a druid. You're doing things other druids haven't already done in the past.
Yep.
That is literally all.
The
I get
only
that.
thing this game did interesting with that initially, conceptually, was the opening cinematic, where they showed a creature basically land on a spore. Do you remember that one scene from the TV show called Primal on Amazon, where that dinosaur bites the Brachiosaurus Rex or whatever, Brachiosaurus? I'm terrible at dinosaur names. The Brachiosaur, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
It bites it and it turns it into like a horrific monster, and it's like a horror episode.
Yeah.
That's how the intro of this game starts, with like that happening to an animal. And like that looks really cool because that's supposedly the Dream Scourge. But then we actually see the Dream Scourge and it's not scary or tense. Like people that have the mushrooms growing on their face are just kind of like, they're angry.
Or
They're just
how
crazy.
the dark spawn in the original Dragon Age were like actually kind of creepy, and then later they just get derpier and derpier as the franchise goes on and on.
Yeah, if you look at modern Darkspawn from Failguard, they look like fucking zombies. Just boring.
It sounds like, based on the little searching I did, that the story about them basically paying for negative review was true. They intentionally tried to draw up controversy for the first GTA.
That doesn't surprise me, but that's also interesting. But yes, fabricated controversies from game studios, and I think movies as well, if I remember right, is something not new.
The thing is, if they did it in video games, I could very easily see them doing that in every single type of media, because they would all be going to roughly similar experts for marketing.
Add more Candy Crush to Dead Space. That would change their mind, yeah.
Also, I did some quick looking up on Obsidian's turnover history. A lot of the people that founded Obsidian that have been there for a very, very long time, that have led the company for a very, very long time, most of them left somewhere mid-development of Avowed, which means the ones that finished it for, 3 years at least, is an entirely new Obsidian.
Yep, the idea got hijacked and gutted, basically. It's basically what Morrowind was to Elder Scrolls. Morrowind was, now some people remember it fondly, but it was the first hijacking. Or, well, not the first, it's not the first time this has happened. But it was a game
It was the
hijacked
first big... It was
internally.
basically the first big... I would say split,
Mhm.
is how I would word it. It was the first big split between what the vision was for Daggerfall versus what the vision was for Morrowind.
And Todd won out.
Mhm,
He did want to...
Win out, yes.
The other guy, I forget his name, that had a different vision, is now working on a game called, I think, Wayward Realms, which is more back in line to Sim, because he wanted a he wanted a fantasy simulator where you could be...
His ultimate thing that he wanted was that he basically wanted a digital DM experience that you could just plug and play.
Yep.
That is what he wanted,
And you could just
and that's why
literally
it
do
was very
Dungeons and Dragons.
modular
at any
and
point.
whatnot. Yeah, that's what he wanted.
To simulate a fantasy world in which you could play without having to have a DM. Yeah. The concept is really fascinating, by the way, for that, but technologically, even today, would be incredibly difficult to
That was
execute.
one of the reasons why Daggerfall didn't do as well. Is they were actually extremely ambitious for what they wanted to do versus what technologically they could actually do.
It's impressive what they managed to achieve, but even in today's world, it's very difficult. Like, for example, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 does try to do actually simulated RPG sandbox aspects, like being able to be a thief, being able to tackle problems in different directions, have different dialogue approaches for multiple choice options to tackle missions. But that isn't what Daggerfall was doing, because Daggerfall tried to do that in a complete sandbox with no real scripting in sense of like scripted sets. It's more effective, and we've seen more effect for this particular approach in things like Deus Ex or more scripted set pieces where they have an open sandbox area, but the sandbox area is enclosed, sort of like what Todd Howard wanted to do with his more focused experience of a more enclosed sandbox. Yes, you could do things, but you can only do it in the sandbox. Except Todd's biggest mistake is that the other avenues of approach, like playing a mage, is just not something they respected, and so certain things in that sandbox are just not viable unmodded, or not very interesting or fun unmodded, because of developer biases towards classes. That's bad, by the way. Like, I don't know how Elder Scrolls has gotten away with that for so long, where they have like these developers who are super biased towards certain playstyles and will only think of designing the game to be applicable for that one type of thing, rather than designing encounters based around every possible approach if it's a sandbox approach. Because my first playthrough of Skyrim was underwhelming because I went with a mage first, and that was with vanilla.
Always the worst option.
Fucking awful. I beat the game and never wanted to play it again. Like, this
The
kind
correct
of
answer is
sucked.
always do a ranger build first.
No, barbarian.
No, Todd. He's crackly.
That is.
I think that's actually just the audio.
Yeah, I think that's just the Discord stream.
Okay,
Did you hear
that's
something?
good.
No,
Yeah,
It's just
Discord. Yeah,
Discord.
it's a
It's just
stream.
Discord.
Yeah,
Okay,
Discord
I
is
just
getting-
wanted to make sure it wasn't like somebody.
Yeah,
What
I get
are
you.
you guys hearing? Because I heard like a buzzing. But I think it's my
That's
neighbor.
your stream.
Yeah,
It's slowly going away now.
yeah.
Like
It's
we
coming
said,
from
it's
me.
just Discord being Discord.
That's weird. Okay, because I was like looking around my apartment and I took my headphones out. I'm like, is it somebody like knock or something? That was weird. Weird.
It was weird. You should get a better setup.
Yeah, apparently. Now, Chatfish calling me a kibosaur.
Ikasaur.
Even if they
Ancient.
didn't pay them, they probably gave them the info. They would have been. Oh yeah, this is in regards to that, the Grand Theft Auto thing. They would find bad knowing the potential players would like that info. One thing that's interesting, by the way, speaking of Grand Theft Auto, is that the developers, a lot of AAA developers, are finally starting to officially, more publicly, acknowledge PC being a new contender. Because remember, oh god, this is another entire Bunchcast thing. It's slightly related to this game because this game's fundamental design, Avowed, is designed around console usage, but the limitations of consoles are starting to not be as
The
much
issue
of a
is
limitation anymore.
consoles are starting to get to the point where they're actually just mini
PCs.
PCs.
Yep, and so they're
And on
gonna have to
top of that-
expand.
On top of that, if you look at the market data, PC is now, if it weren't for the Switch, PC would be a much bigger customer base than consoles. Like if you're not releasing on PC,
That animation
you're
hurts me.
missing a lot of money. And the thing about PC is we have a lot more options for games and there's a lot more competition.
Yeah, no, that's true. The big issue I think going forward is that, and this was mentioned because Grand Theft Auto is not going to be releasing on PC, has no intentions this way, but that's because they have old, outdated thinking still there, because it hasn't fully gone away. But as time marches on, what I did notice is Microsoft is actually doing, I think, one of the few good things I've seen in the industry, where they're actually they're realizing that exclusivity is bad for sales for their games, and they're actually stopping exclusives. Now, I know that people rag on it because like exclusives are good because there's like this cuck mentality of like, yeah, we got to have exclusives in order to fucking like exist, and it's like that's retarded.
The thing is, the only thing exclusives help is the one that owns the console.
Yep, that's it. And even then, it's debatable how successful exclusives are anymore, right? back in the day, what won me over for the Xbox was that it was adult, it was mature, it was like forbidden, it was taboo. Because the original Xbox was black and had a little green little emblem on it, and all of its library was super mature and games I couldn't like see or buy because most of them had like M's on them. And so when the 360 rolled around, I was very much won over by it because I was like, oh my god, like the Xbox. That's the big boy console. I want the big boy console with the big boy games. It's got the Halos, it's gonna have the Gears of War, it's gonna have all these things, and
It has a scary red ring.
yeah, that was a unintentional side effect. But like the whole big thing is like that was like super appealing, right? Now that doesn't exist. Now I look at a console, and even if I look at like my little broskies, right, who are a decade younger than me, they didn't even feel that way either. Like they had an Xbox, they also had a Wii, but like to them it was just like like they wanted a PC because everyone wanted a PC, and I know that from a decade generation difference because my brothers, at least their interpretation and the kids that they hung out with, like PC just has that sexy appeal in the new generation where it's like there's so much more, like there's mods, you can do everything, and it's become popularized now.
It also doesn't help that at this point it's no longer just plug and play, because now you have to buy the thing, then you download it, and it's like, well, at this point, if I'm downloading anyway on PC, there's more mod opportunities. And even if the people that don't give a fuck about that, it's just like, well, I can make a PC more powerful than the minimum baseline and it will just run better.
That's true. So yeah, PCs I think are just going to become more viable as time goes forward. But I do think one of the issues that we run into with games like Avowed is that we're having a lot of games that are just stagnating in terms of mechanics, and I think a lot of developers think they can get away with this because the new generation doesn't expect things, right? So Heroes of Might and Magic, you remember Dark Messiah, the first-person game? It was simple.
Yes.
It's kind of overrated, to be honest, but it has if you look at the combat of that game, or even a more modern game like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and compare that combat system to this game, those combat systems did something. They tried to push and innovate, like taking advantage of physics or not, or whatever.
I was say the issue is with Dark Messiah, it just boiled down to you kicking enemies into environmental hazards.
Yeah, kicking and tripping things. Which
that was just... It was overpowered.
It was a bit basic, but the thing, regardless of it anyways, is that they were doing something new there, right? Here with Avowed, I think what we've all kind of realized is that it's just a regurgitation of combat we've seen before. Like when I think about it mechanically, ignoring the story, ignoring the visuals, ignoring all the problems that those have, and think about it as a mechanical game, it's boring. It's run of the mill. Like I don't want to play it. When I was playing it, I didn't mind it. That's why I still think it's like a $20 budget bin game. Like yeah, if you're fucking bored out of your goddamn mind, or you've got Game Pass and you're bored out of your mind and this is on Game Pass or whatever, you might as well sink your teeth into this because it'll waste time if you can't find anything else. And that's if you can't find anything else. Underlining if you can't find anything else. I have to say that for some people because they're deaf. They're deaf. But like even then, I'd rather go replay a different old game like Shadow of Mordor or Assassin's Creed or like, fucking like RPGs. I'd rather go play, Knights of the Old Republic or something again, or anything else besides this.
And
Ashley Garrett says something I wouldn't say that's true.
Okay, gonna read it.
They say to me the biggest two problems are brain drain in the industry and developers seeing their games as products instead of art that requires no creativity.
That's true. That was the issue.
I think as publishers' biggest issue.
That's more of
a lot of that
yeah.
came down to when they were getting new people in those roles. They came from other industries where it wasn't necessarily video games. It was stuff like serialized products where it's like, this is the standard product
Yep.
that people expect. and so they basically tried to change
That happened.
video games into that industry.
That
is
happened.
a good
Hold
example
on.
of
That
this.
happened literally. So, like, if you want to talk about like the '90s to the 2000s, right? As the video game market basically expanded and we entered a golden age, what happened was people saw how much money this industry was making, right? And so the people that are joining the industry, executives and a lot of other people, aren't joining it because they're passionate about game making. They're joining it because there's a lot of money in it and they want that money. That's it. But yes, you're right. Passion is no longer the norm anymore, but it is still around. It's not that disappeared. It's moved, right? A lot of the big name established companies that were built on passion, like Blizzard Entertainment and the likes, and even EA's roster, EA being an electronic artist, right? A company for electronic artists. That's not true anymore. The name means nothing. It's just a bunch of suit execs now. So that changed as time went on, as they grew and got bigger. But the people with talent and the people with passion didn't stop making games. They just simply, they aren't in AAAs. Most of them are in AA's or smaller. And the few times you see like a bigger publisher like Warhorse Studios or Arrowhead with Helldivers, is usually because their passion was so strong and they did such a good job that they just elevated themselves through skill and through vision. And it's those people who are trend setters. The trend followers are going to come after them. We're going to have, Helldivers clones coming out in the near future in about a couple years' time. It's going to take a while for them to come out the pipeline. Some of them will do some things that'll be cool. Some of them will be incredibly boring. And some of them will just be blatant cash grabs. That's just the nature of the industry. That was like that with battle royales, right? It's just now that's going to be in the pipeline. So expect to see extraction shooters getting popularity again because of Helldivers, but they're going to be specifically tailored on the formula that Helldivers has established. Whether that's good or not, we'll see.
Gibbs has Marathon to look forward to in his future.
We'll see how Marathon, I think Marathon's already kind of in development to make any major adjustments at this point, unless they intend to like just stop and overhaul things entirely, because they'd have to switch.
They might.
Because extraction
Bungie's also-
shooters, mechanically and philosophically, were very stagnant before Helldivers 2. Because Helldivers 2 basically took that genre and was like, what if we give you a large map? What if we give you a sandbox, basically, and you can play and do whatever you want in it in that time period we give you. There's a bunch of objectives, and just you go play. And that's what they did. And that really worked because I think people want is player choice in a lot of these games. Like if I want a scripted story like Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead's fun for like a run or a couple runs through with a couple buds, or maybe head to head with some friends. But after that run, it doesn't have the same replay value because it's not a big sandbox. Granted, to be fair to the old developers, making a sandbox with those tools and that amount of variables requires an insane amount of development time. So much so that Helldivers 2 is an incomplete game. Right now, to this date, it is not done. It has only like 2 to 3 real biomes, realistically, that are actually different, and it still doesn't have the fully completed third race implemented yet, and is missing a lot of core other features. Because that type of game is so complex that in order to develop it would take probably 5-10 years to actually properly make. But because of the AAA industry cycle, 3-year dev cycles are the preferred norm. Because they want to pump it out quick.
That's how they can plan out funding relatively easier in 3 years than they can for 5-6 years.
Yep, because it's a lot harder. Because like, oh my god, we've invested 10 years in this game. That's why live service games are the only way we're going to see big visions come together. And I know that sucks to hear, by the way. But that's literally
It's because
it's
the only thing they can go to investors and they can point to, here's where you're going to get your return on investment. And
Yep.
it's just like, yep, makes sense.
And then the developers can implement all their dream features that they want later over time. We see this with indies too. And I think I don't like the live service model, but I'll use Project Zomboid as a great example, or Factorio, because these games are examples of indies that have done the same methodology of being like, okay, we're going to make a game. It's going to be either early access and it's going to get slowly built over, a decade, maybe a decade plus. And when you look at Project Zomboid, it has so much stuff and so much things you can do in it in the sandbox sense, and it's not done. It's very much still early, by the way, as a forewarning. But the amount of variables and things you can do in Project Zomboid, adverse to, State of Decay, another game, is astronomical. Absolutely astronomical. Because in order to make a game like Project Zomboid, you need a decade plus development time. You cannot just spit that out in a year. That is too complex and too complicated. And even to get all the features they want, like the ability to have families, NPCs, having different relationships with characters, and a world that are not even players, but NPCs, and an evolving world, that's going to take another decade to even get closer to that. That's how complicated these things are. But I do think that these kinds of great visions or grand vision games should be supported, because rather than getting 30 or 40 shitty fucking watered down Call of Duty games, wouldn't it have been great if we every 5 or 6 years got one really epic Call of Duty game that had an amazing campaign, had a stellar multiplayer experience, and it was complete, rather than piecemealed little things, and then basically after a couple of years you have to get the next injection, like a FIFA game. The FIFA games are the most atrocious, or the sports games are the most atrocious example of this, where every sports game released every year is literally just an update for stats, and they're poorly and shoddily made. It's truly rancid, and they sell like hotcakes because sports are incredibly popular. Go ahead.
Put ads in those games as well.
I think they attempted to. I don't know
and
if they
then
make it work.
Steam comes in on a pale horse and says no.
Yep, we're lucky. That also brings up the question of, ethics in game development, and how we're blessed to have certain people in positions like Gabe Newell in positions of power. But that's why we should always be incredibly grateful for the time we currently live in, and also concerned and aware that may change should leadership change down the road. Because all that takes is one changed leader. Oh my god.
We need to invent the golden throne and put Gabe Newell on it.
Yeah, pretty much. The golden steam throne.
Yeah, because we don't want his son taking over.
Is his son that bad?
He doesn't entirely agree with the direction of Steam with his father. As the latest,
he probably likes money. I think you can just boil it down to that.
He doesn't respect what his father had built legacy-wise, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, that's the only hint of what not a promising hint of what he thinks of Steam.
That's not good. That's a little upsetting. I hope that Gabe Newell, I know that he obviously loves his son probably, but I hope he considers the realistic future of his legacy, because his legacy is Steam and Valve and what he's done for the industry, and that legacy sometimes should be handed to people who deserve it, rather than people who were born under it. Nepotism. That's the problem with monarchies, right? Where that little shit stain didn't actually earn his father's kingdom or empire. His father sweat and bled for that empire, and his son's a spoiled little brat. I'm not saying that that's a particular case, but I'm using this as an example, right? That's the issue. You see that happen with a lot of legacies where somebody builds up, and it's not always that way, right? Frank Herbert's son, tried to fulfill his father's wishes by completing and continuing his work. J.R. Tolkien's son tried to preserve his father's legacy, the best of his abilities.
And
it's
then
not always
his
that way.
nephew, the next generation after his son crashed it into the ground.
Yep, and then the next generation got lazy and didn't care about preserving the legacy. So it's going to happen generationally. That's why I think it's important as creators, and we as creators ourselves should also factor in that generationally decay is a factor, right? And so that's why I've always been a big fan of the legacy idea of maybe upon death, the thing we labored to make, maybe it shouldn't go to one person, rather it should go to everyone. Because at the end of the day, that person's gone. You earned what you earned, and you profited from it.
I need you to understand, Chad. Kibbs is advocating for the fucking the industry where you're now incentivized to get rid of inventors and creators.
I'm not talking about getting rid of. Oh, killing them?
Yeah.
Drag him out to the
But that's what
street.
Disney does.
The thing is, in a very cynical world, Kibbs, ultimately what that would lead to is highly incentivization of assassinations.
Yeah.
Yep.
You built a really good IP.
Because
Hey, go on this
basically,
yacht with me. Oh, he didn't. He fell overboard. We never lost him. He's fishy
Lost
food.
at sea.
he
Fish
fell
food.
downstairs and shot himself in the head 3 times. Who could have done this? Him,
What a
obviously.
horrible suicide.
See, I know the likelihood of that. See, that's the issue. The issue is that in an ideal world that would work, but we always have to factor in humans as the key factor. And humans are cheeky, cute little shits that will do.
So Kibbs thinks an ideal
Humans will
world doesn't
game
have
any-
humans.
An
Humans
ideal
will game
world
any
has humans
system
who have
they're in.
honor, but that's not true. That's not true.
Which is why when people say this is
There's a
the,
lot.
which is why when people say this is the perfect system, it doesn't matter for what, you tell them
They're
that's
lying.
nice, but you're dumb.
It's the best system we have is the real answer. And then when it comes to yeah, that's the issue. Like Disney just fucking has kill squads for talent. It's like that was his last game. Take him out back, like a horse.
That's the holy shit. Imagine the Corpo Wars. That would be funny.
Who you fighting for?
Taco Bell, obviously.
Taco Bell, yeah. Why would you fight for anybody else?
I didn't say wishing for
You
live
dare
stream.
sully the
Or
king?
a live stream. I didn't say I'm wishing for communism,
Ah,
chat. Fuck.
I'm just saying.
Taco Bell canonically won. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I know who won the fucking Corpo Wars.
Taco Bell. I wonder what Taco
would-
Bell brands they have. Because think about it. If they won the Corporal Wars, that means that they're everything.
Yes.
Like Taco Bell Walmart, Taco Bell gas station, Taco Bell cars,
No,
Taco
but
Bell
it wouldn't be Taco Bell
games.
Walmart. It would just be the
Taco
clothing
Bell.
brand, branch of Taco Bell.
Here's the Taco Bell branch for shoes.
They would even sell clothes at the Taco Bell store.
God damn it, chat bros. Sage. Taco Bell. I'm not pledging my allegiance to moments. That would be like the last thing I would do. What? Yeah, fish, sometimes you're so goddamn derpy. I don't even know what to say. Mormons? Is Taco Bell owned by Mormons? Is that why? Is that oh my god, that's retarded. Alright, so. But yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. Selling new underwear at Taco Bell. That is actually genius. Taco. It's for your taco. Yeah, get you? Only choice is godlike. 0 out of 10. Chatfish are having too much fun. We can't allow that, chat. You're not allowed to have fun here. So we're going to the Syndicate game world. Is that what you're saying? Syndicate game world. Chat, what are you getting these references from? Chatfish are now debating tacos.
Lock it down.
The Chatfish is going nuts right now. They're going crazy. The Taco Bell comment threw them off their game. 80% of Taco Bell is owned by the Church. What? Of Latter-day Saint took it up. They also own most. We have Taco Bell spiracies now. This is like the corn spiracy, but taco spiracy. Goddamn chat. Taconspiracy. Get it? Conspiracy. Taconspiracy. I'm pretty. That didn't work as well as I was hoping. So the next game we have to talk about, because we're talking about a lot of new videos that got shat out the other day. Next one we have is another one that's mixed. I'm not surprised that it hasn't moved up. It's probably earned that location and probably should reside here for the foreseeable future for another 2 years.
The Harriet Tubman game.
There you Tubman
Harriet
game.
Tubman Gaming.
Sid Meier's Civilization 7. This one does not have the same problems that Avowed had. However, this particular game has its own quandary of issues. And I think the big issue it has is that what the hell were they thinking with the UI? And secondly, like this game is just not ready. Like we have to
There's that, and there's actually something else I was curious about.
go for it.
Why separate the leaders of specific nations from the nation itself?
Oh, I understand that one. Leader bonuses. It's to create more.
No. I understand, like, mechanically speaking, why they're doing it, but it's just like thematically, it's just like Caesar was Roman.
Yeah, he
He
was.
was an Egyptian.
Hmm?
So it's just like, why break away the leader from the nation? That's what I'm getting.
Mechanically, that's it. Like thematically, there's no reason. It's a mechanical function rather than anything else to allow for more player customizations in terms of mechanical function for multiplayer stuff. Now I do wish it was a toggle mode. Toggle mode. Goddamn Taco Bell. Toggle mode. Oh, this keeps bringing up this so much.
Back.
It all comes back to Taco Bell shit.
Yeah.
Hold on. So the big thing is with this game, right? They actually added some really interesting functions. I'm having a hard time speaking all of a sudden. One of the interesting functions is that when you move from the different periods of time, you move from like antiquity to exploration to modern, right? And I do think they should expand or elaborate on that a bit more. But one thing that's neat is that your respective culture, if you're Roman, can only become Norman or can only become, Frankish or whatever. Or whatever the other one was for, Castile, Spain. And so your culture can only mold into those cultures respective to it, versus mankind, you could, freely become, I'm Egyptian, and now I'm Milanese. And it's like, what? That's not even remotely similar culture. That's not... I like the idea of that, but I wish there was more options. This game is just undercooked as fuck, is what it really is. It's early access, it's incredibly expensive, barely any of the features and functions are polished or refined. The gameplay options are incredibly limited, and it needs a lot more work. Its user interface is rough. It feels like we bought a early access beta that has yet to get all its bells and whistles. It's not a bad game. In fact, I'd argue that this could probably be a decent Civilization game in 2 years' time. I say 2 years because I'm a little bit hesitant when I saw their updates plans. Originally, I was like, maybe about a year. Maybe 2 years is what I'm thinking. But yeah, that's, I think, the fundamental issue here. It just really should not have come out yet. This game needed more time to cook, more time to bake, and needed a lot more critical feedback as well. And also the options. Like, yeah, you should... Hannah's absolutely right. There should be literally a thematic option. You can only play as a leader for that respective civilization, period.
You know what? After thinking about it, I think I know why it bothers me.
Why?
Because at that point, why not just make a thing where you effectively make a custom nation? Where it's like, you can pick whichever skin you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you pick... It's like, okay, this is this nation's bonuses.
It's like Age of Wonders. You make your own leader and race. And like your ethics. Age of Wonders was kind of like that.
And then that way it's like if you're playing as like your fantasy, like Rome, it's still Caesar's the leader, Rome is the nation, and here are your bonuses.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Like, at that point, why not just make it so that you can just make a custom nation rather than break away like Caesar from Rome?
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that, but I understand why they also didn't do it. The custom leader bullshit is entirely down to just so that you get the mechanics. Now, there is a better solution to this, and Torva literally says it before I could even say it. He says, instead of leaders and people, you pick perks. Yeah. So the leader is of the nation, is just the character that represents you as a diplomat, right? And then the perks you actually pick for your nation yourself. And yes, each civilization has its own civ perks, but the leader perks are a bit more customizable. Hell, I don't even know why they don't just make a custom leader maker. You can make your own custom leader. That would actually be cool. Hell, even a custom civ maker would be cool. That's one thing that makes Gal Civ 4 really cool, is because you can build custom races, custom leaders, and custom everything. Like, Gal Civ 4 is actually ahead of the market in that regard, but it's also going to have, not as much of a reach because Stardock's a little bit smaller, and it's also sci-fi. Some people might not be interested in sci-fi. They might be looking for like a antiquity, all the way to like modern. One thing I do miss though from the older Civ Meyer civilizations, at least my personal favorite was Civilization 3, Complete Edition, and I miss starting as literally barbarian culture and then going all the way up. I really liked that. I thought that was fun.
What was the game that did that as well? Something like Empire Earth?
Yep.
Empire Earth did it. That was its own different thing.
A bit RTS though. That's on a 4X though. But yeah. You little Chumbaloid. He's like, Chumbaloid. They tried to go halfway with it. Yeah, they kind of did. They did a better job than Mankind, in my opinion. Or, no, sorry, Humankind.
Yeah.
You don't want to be sexist now, do you?
Oh my god.
I tried to play... I got through one full campaign, and after that, it's like, I don't really have a desire to play this again.
Humankind just kind of sucked. I like how this game feels. I think this game is fun, but I also think this game is not A, worth the asking price, so I cannot recommend it. B, it's fucking raw. It's not ready. It needs to cook more, chat. Put it back in the oven. Put it back in the Came out
kids,
all
you better get used to
Play-Doh-y.
eating. You should get used to eating raw meat.
So
Is that-
better learn to start making sushi is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this was a dick innuendo or both or both.
No, kids. Nobody was talking about penises here. I think you.
Now, why the fuck did your mind go there?
See, I called
We
you
were
out on
saying
it.
that
I
you're
called
gonna
you
get-
out on it, and now you're trying to throw me under the bus.
No,
I see
no,
how
no,
it
We're
is.
just saying that you're going to get
Yeah,
more and
yeah.
more the raw end of the deal.
I knew
Yeah.
exactly what you were going for, and this is your
Like,
trap.
games aren't going to come out like good anymore. Kids are going to come out mediocre at best. So you have to get used to that.
To be fair, honestly, a reasonable amount of that, I kind of put the blame on the fact that post-launch patching is just now a thing that's pretty normal, and so
I've-
they no longer have to
has
make it
benefits and drawbacks,
stable.
but yeah. Because one thing I do remember about old games was that when a game was bugged and we didn't have really good internet, my dad had to download a patch onto like a little like thumb drive thing, and then I could put it on my computer because like it would take forever to download. Oh my god, that was when I was really little. But yeah, I do remember that. Like it took forever to download things. And so in certain games didn't even have patches. And so if it came out bad, like some of those games on the wall behind me, PC games, they're just shit. That's just, they have bugs. They just have bugs. Period. End of discussion. There was no patches. But the downside is also has made developers incredibly lazy. At the same time, games now can have the potential to be more complex and more advanced than ever before, and in some cases actually are. But it's also created a new problem in which, we can patch it post-launch, rather than let's actually delay this game, because that's exactly what happened with this game. I guarantee you, Sid Meier's Civilization 7 is Sid Meier's Civilization. It is the 4X game. Period. It's the king, right? There are a lot of other ones. And
It's the one that
yeah.
everyone fucking remembers because of how long this franchise has been going on.
It's the king of the franchise. It's the king of the castle, and so it can get away with this, sadly, and that's one of the big issues here. You know, it's able to get away with it, and so that's why they're able to do it, because they'll just patch it later, and they know they can get away with it. And even though there's negative kickback now, they know they can get away with it because Sid Meier's Civilization 6 was the exact same way. Sid Meier's Civ 3, nice face, 3D model and derpy.
I prefer Civ Beyond Earth.
All right, ban him. Bucky, get the hammer. Fucking Christ. Sid Meier's Beyond Earth was such a fucking disaster.
It was.
Also, I like how they hauled out Sid Meier himself here, but he's like fucking... Like, he's not doing any of this anymore. I think they just
No.
got him out here.
Isn't he just like getting the royalties off it?
I mean, they have his name in the title, but I don't know. Does he actually direct anything?
Because keep in mind, like, because this is based in the U.S., which means you can sell away your right to your own name when it comes to like a franchise and shit.
Oh god, yeah. LucasArts, yep. Great example. I said I was looking at Civ 7. It's so undercooked that if I was steak, I would still be a whole fucking cow. It's not that undercooked. It's like a little, like, it's got a little browning on the edges at least.
It's like when you
It's
look
got
at
a
it, it's just
little
like,
brown.
but it's still like really pink.
It's really pink though. Like, if you eat that, you're gonna get a
Endless.
disease.
Endless says, I liked Beyond Earth.
All right, chat. You know what to do. Gang up on him gently.
Kill him.
Fun to be on Earth playthrough. Right.
Everybody
got
get
it.
out the paddles.
No.
It's time to teach them.
Beyond Earth is not a game we need to
I'm
visit.
changing my $200 to Beyond Earth. He's like, you can't do that. It's been over a day.
It's been
Endless
over a
decides that the Conus Fic Fun should just be a Beyond Earth playthrough instead.
Why are you guys bringing it? Why are we talking about Beyond Earth? That is water under the bridge. That's a game that should Beyond Earth
Wow,
is
it's gonna be a future. It's gonna be a future stream day.
so chat.
Yeah.
Beyond Earth came out and people were expecting it to be Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, basically. Basically Sid Meier's game in space is what they were expecting. Beyond Earth was not that. Hans, do you want to describe what Beyond Earth was? Because I think you played it. I played it a little bit and then never did again.
No, I didn't. The one I played was the other one we were talking about, Earthfall, or whatever the fuck that one was.
Earthfall? What? Oh, Age of Wonders Planetfall.
Planetfall, yeah, Planetfall was the one I played.
That was fun.
Planetfall was interesting.
Like I said, I played it once. I have no desire to play it ever again.
Age of Wonders 4 was
had-
interesting. And I do want to go back to it because it had some cool ideas, but it felt like they just floundered it because like a lot of the 4X games, I always feel like they do this thing where it's like the turns are too quick or like you advance too fast and the game is over too fast. I will say
Well,
that
the
Sid
thing
Meier's 7 feels like it takes an age and a half for anything to happen, which is good. Which is
The
slower.
thing is, when it comes to games like that, I have to be able to like get into it thematically. So it's like I pick the one faction, then it's like, okay, this is one seems interesting. I play it, and it's like, wow, this is just boring. And the issue is with Alpha Centauri, like, there's actually a narrative going on. Like, if you listen to like the little blurbs and you research something, right? One of the faction leaders is the one saying it. As you progress through the tech tree, the amount of faction leaders saying things starts to get dwindled down less and less and less. And over the years, people have kind of pieced together what the actual story, quote unquote, of Alpha Centauri was.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of shit has interested me enough that it's like, okay, I can appreciate Alpha Centauri for what it is. It's not necessarily the best game, but I can at least appreciate it. But like this one, it's just like, eh. Doesn't
But it
interest-
had a dynamic of stay human or adapt and become more alien.
Yeah. You don't know what the one with Alpha Centauri is? Literally, the entire planet is becoming this like proto like hive mind organism, and it's either you take control of it or you basically flee back to Earth, not knowing what the fuck is happening.
That's kind of cool and creepy. But yeah, Beyond Earth
it
kind of
is.
sucked.
Harlot gifts a membership. Thank you, Harlot.
Apparently, Beyond Earth is good with the Codex mod. I would not be surprised. It was one of these games that was kind of undercooked, got received really poorly, and then immediately abandoned. And that was like like it got
I know, donates.
2 expansions, yeah. But as far as these go, that's not really good. Thank you for the donation, Giano.
He says for 25 PLNs, 4Xs often have interesting idea mechanics, but then cram it into a game that's meant to be playable as multiplayer matches. Strangling it. SF, Chase Start.
That's why the best 4X games usually are the ones that are not very well balanced. Like, what was the last 4X, like, one that I really had fun multiplayer-wise, like multiplayer, was Endless Legends. And that was mostly due to the fact that it was just really fun to fuck around with the base mechanics, but the combat made me want to commit Kibbo side so badly.
At least the combat
you
seems
mean
better
the
into.
card system.
Oh my god, the combat system was terrible. That's Endless Space. Endless Space is card space battles. Like, I hate.
Yeah.
It's like, pick a card. It's like, how about you how about you just fucking shoot them? Just shoot
Hey,
the other
at
ship.
least- At least Endless Legend 2 will probably be good.
Oh, Endless Space 2. Like, artistically, Amplitude Studios, I think their name. They're French.
Yeah.
They're Frenchies. French art teams
they've
are
gone
really
hyper
good.
work, but it seems like they might
hyper
be pulling
what?
it back.
Hold up.
Yeah, they
back
went
up.
hyper woke,
Oh, no.
but they might be slowly pulling back from that. I don't know.
Well, we'll find out with
The
Endless
thing
Legends
is,
2.
given how the landscape is right now, I think companies, even if they believe it, are going to be dialing it back a little bit.
Mhm.
I will say that Endless Legends, well, no, not just Endless Legends. Amplitude Studios has a incredibly good art team. Like, the art is just spectacular visually.
They also have a community-driven thing when the community actually votes on mechanics and actually gives feedback. They actually
They're really
do
involved.
interact with
Yeah.
the community, which is good. But
If you're looking
think
for
they kinda
4X
ignored it.
alternatives, I think the Endless series is probably going to be our best bet for an alternative that's actually of high quality. But it's also
the
not
thing
going to be what a lot of
is-
people are looking for, because some people might just be looking for, from Berberian to modern. This doesn't really
The
happen.
other thing is, I would bring up that the Amplitude is doing is they're actually willing to kind of experiment a bit with the games they have underneath their IP.
Yes.
Where
Now,
they have, like very different games in the genre. There was like a dungeon crawler, the Civ-like game, and shit. There's the other one. I'm forgetting which one it is though.
the Endless Dungeons.
Yeah,
games?
I mean,
In the
the
space?
dungeon crawler.
Now, I will say this with Endless Legend 1 and 2. These are 4X games that have hard turn limit caps on them. And
Yep,
Endless
they've
Legend
sinned.
1, the planet is dying. And so, at the end of the time limit, that's it. And this one, the oceans are disappearing.
So the planet's gonna dry up and die again.
Yes, but there's more mechanics to the oceans, like, to it this time. It's not just game over. It's, oceans are going away now, more land masses coming up, and it's a lot more depth to it this time. And I'm not sure if it's a hard time limit of once it's gone, or if it's like, okay, the oceans are completely drained, now you can get access to this vault, and first one there wins, kind of thing. No idea.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how that's gonna work out. It's again, they go for interesting concepts, but yeah. It's all the way
And it is a
down.
different planet,
Don't
yes.
forget the critical fact that even though the winds are changing, they let all those people in, and they're still all in their top positions. A lot of them are still there. Yes, more than likely, absolutely correct. This
The
is why
thing
when
is,
we look at
unless-
these, hold on. This is why when we look at these games, the big thing is, did the artists separate their art from themselves, and can we separate their art from themselves, right? Or if we start looking at the game and go like, that's a self-insert, you know? Because we've seen that with Star Wars Outlaws and shit, where they just insert themselves, or that Spider-Man game we played a little bit of that was ass. Like, they just fucking insert themselves into the thing. When that happens, it pollutes the work, and it can't be enjoyed.
And the thing is, yeah, they still have their positions, but unless you want to start enacting extremely draconian rules where it's like, okay, we're gonna go in and we're gonna like forcibly fire, it's like, okay, that's just gonna lead to a bunch of like messed up shit.
Well, what that's gonna do is, okay, so this is always gonna be a complicated issue, because the easy answer people are gonna obviously say is gonna be like, just kill him. Just kill him. It isn't just
Going back
fire.
to that, huh?
I'm joking, but that's what I mean, though. Like, that's gonna be the easy. Like, just get rid of. Like, the issue is that it's a bit more to it than that, because what would happen if you do that is the team would just collapse without that. So what needs to happen is basically what really needs to happen is a leader needs to take control of the studio, and you may have team members who are like, oh, it'd be really cool if we did this, or like, oh, I really wish we'd do this, and I'm like, nope, we're not doing that. Because that's the job of the director. The director is the filter that filters all that stuff out. That is your job. That's literally my job with our stuff. Like, when you have to be like, nope, no, we're not doing that. No, not doing that way. Nope, not gonna have that kind of character. Nope, we're not gonna have that
Night
kind of
of long keyboards.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
leadership is one of those fascinating issues in the game industry, as it makes or breaks a lot of stuff, and especially a lot of the big companies like Avowed, which we definitely know went through significant leadership changes mid-development.
yep.
And with many other studios you can name examples of, is one of the most common deaths of many studios and many games. Because it's one of those very rare skill sets that is not exactly something you can teach. You must develop it, learn it yourself, or you must somehow naturally be one of those.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing here is like, because I can tell you that it normally goes this way, right? And a normal studio's like, okay, should this story have any sex scenes in it? And you look at it and you're like, no, that's going to detract from the overall feeling, right, of the story. It's like, did Lord of the Rings have any raunchy sex scenes in it in the Peter Jackson movie? No. Did HBO's Rome do? Yes. Did those scenes add anything? No. What did those scenes do? Well, they were just raunchy sex scenes for the sake of being edgy at the time to help drive up viewership. So they feel tacky. Like, I love the Rome TV show, but they're the tacky parts of Rome TV show I don't like. Versus Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson was like, all right, this is going to be like this. We're going to try to be as faithful to the books and as much as we can, but obviously, within reason, because it's being adapted for a different media, right? So certain things didn't translate, or certain, like the walls of Gondor being black are not a thing. The fact that the They never breached the first tier outside of the getting into the courtyard, and never got past the courtyard because the Gondorians repelled them, and then sallied forth to help the Rohirrim repel the orcs, like it happened in the book. And in the movie, they get pushed back to the last tier. It's like, what? It's very different. Because in the book, it's like, yeah, no, the Gondorians are kicking ass, and the Rohirrim show up, and then the Gondorians sally out, I think, with the Knights of Dol Amroth, which aren't even in the...
Yeah, no, they're not even addressed,
Yeah.
even though they're some of the most like badass fighters
The
in the
Swan
setting
Knights,
at the
yeah.
time. That's one of those things when you hear about that, and it's just like, but why would they do that though? Because the thing is, if they actually would have showed that Gondor, even though their like outer wall was breached, they were still holding them back. Remember that Gondor was holding Mordor pretty much at bay by itself.
Yep.
For how many years?
The kingdom of Gondor was holding its own in a very long and awful war of attrition.
Protracted war.
And the movies make it seem like Gondor's basically already fallen.
Yep, it's on the verge of collapse. And I get what they're going for, because in the movies, Peter Jackson's trying to illustrate how, how bad things are getting, right? But in the books, it's a very different thing. It's like, this is a protracted war. Gondor is holding, but it's brutal, And then, the Rohirrim show up. And they help them turn the tide and then launch a counterattack. But yeah. So that's an example using that the director chose that, right? Now the movies can be still enjoyed for what they are, even though it is a bit silly that they push all the way up in the city, and that's just one thing we're picking fun at, right? But all in all, the movies were good because the director made sure that he filtered out anything that didn't belong, right? He even cut like a scene where they had was it Eowyn like try to have a girl boss moment, and they cut it, if I remember right, because that was early.
The thing is, they did kind of have the girl boss moment where no man can defeat me, I'm no man, because that was
they did do that, yeah.
Misreading. That was a misreading of Tolkien's intent with that line, but it's a misreading that's very easy to understand.
Yep. I mean, it was a bit cringe, but like beyond that, like for the most part, it was pretty good. And so that's like one of the big things, right? Gondor was shown to be a kingdom in the books, not just a city. Yes, but that's also the issue, right? Because Erlingus and Helm's Deep are like the only two Rohirrim places you really see.
Because they're nomadic by nature.
Well, yeah, but Erlingus is a settlement. Like, it's their actual city. And then Helm's Deep is, I think it's called Erlingus. And then Helm's Deep is their actual, fortification.
Yeah, it's a fallback position that you're supposed to use in emergencies, not like you just go there immediately.
Yep. Because that's why Gandalf wanted them to fight them in the field where they had their strength, because they could use their maneuverability, but they didn't want him to pull back because he's old and he wanted to protect what he had because he lost his son.
We're going to use grand battle plan doctrines, but you chose mobile warfare.
But you chose mobile warfare. This is a hard survivor meme now. Edoras, for fuck's sake. Whatever. You're stupid, Grimald. And I hate you, and I hate Crazy Templar, and I hate Florial, and anyone else who corrected me. And anyone else who... I know I'm getting names
James calls
wrong.
himself a Lord of the Rings fan.
I like
Gets
Lord of the
things
Rings,
wrong.
but I'm not fanatical about it. I like it a lot. Bucky will make fun of me about it.
All of his examples end up being Lord of the Rings.
It's just a great example, okay? Like, that's when you want to show quality versus quantity, you take the best thing you have, right?
Like how go to Dead Space for body horror.
Dead Space is literally one of the best. That or The Thing.
Yeah.
The Thing is also the second best, mostly because it also has
Dead Space is inspired by The Thing in a lot of aspects.
So you generally have to use something as a basis for, as a springboard to launch from, right? Not to settle on. Isn't that right? Chat bros. Wow, Chatfish sassy. Edoras, you mean Whiterun? Okay, Psycho Dad, you're getting beaten.
Hey, at least they're not going on about Taco Bell anymore.
True, we got them to stop about Taco Bell for a bit.
Taco Bell sucks.
Fuzzy gets stoned. Fuzzy gets just pelted with rocks and shit.
Oh no, they're throwing the sand they use as meat at Fuzzy.
Unfortunate, chat
The
bros.
meat byproduct, not real meat.
So yeah, Sid Meier's Civilization 7. It's just I'm coughing coincidentally, not because of anything in particular. It's just kind of it's a game that I think you can wish list, but check back on this thing in 2 years' time. For now, the other Sid
It's
Meier's Civilization games
Get
with
it
mods
at
will be
like
better.
$30
It's not worth it
at
now.
most.
Like, look at the amount of people that even picked it up. Like, I got one person on my friends that picked it. Some people wish listed the thing, which is probably the smarter option, because this price tag, fucking Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And because I'm a streamer, I had to pay the streamer tax, so I had to buy that thing. Oh, not worth it. Not worth it in the slightest, chat. Not worth it.
Disappointed.
God damn, I love that thing.
Disappointed.
What is the, what's the other game? Oh yeah, so the next game we have to talk about is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And now we're not going to talk about anything about controversial, we'll just talk about the games as a whole. So, this is, I think, the strongest release of this year so far. Right? What other games have I played?
Easily.
Let me just
What other
double
games
check.
released this
January.
year?
Because I mistook Veilguard as coming out in this year, even though it did not. I'm just scrolling through my list
look
of
it
things
up.
I played. Played Sid Meier's Civilization. I played a bunch of old games. I played a bunch.
Dynasty Warriors Origins came out the 17th of
True.
last month.
We do have to talk about that one as well. Thank you, Fuzzy.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on PC. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Wow, racist. Bad Fuzzy.
Waiting
Bad.
for Blake to show
Yes,
up in
I'm
chat so
literally
he
reading
starts
the
gushing
name.
over fucking Ninja Gaiden.
Was he doing that? Little nerd.
Oh, Blake loves Ninja Gaiden. He's a little weeaboo kid. You know that.
No, Blake loves living with sister.
Jesus
that too.
Louises. All right, so
That's not new.
so I've got my games that we've covered that are new. So we got one more game after this. Actually, no, we got two. I've almost missed one. So Kingdom Come Deliver. Hold on, Fuzzy, I'll tickle you to death with a little feather. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Surprisingly, I thought this game was gonna. I thought I wasn't gonna like this game. In the first stream I did of this game, I didn't quite enjoy it that much. But I fucking bucked up and tried it again. You know, quit being a little kid bitch about it, and tried it one more time, and I actually like this game quite a bit. I have 55.5 hours now sunk into this game, and I couldn't put it down last night because
Yeah, I know.
Bucky
we all
introduced
knew
concepts to me that I needed to experiment with because he's a bastard like that. So I was trying
that. And then
to
you were
make-
dumb. And then you were dumb. And either killed someone or died.
And
So you had
lost
to
all that
restart, not
progress.
once.
Yep, and then had to redo it all.
twice.
But because I'm stubborn,
And then I
can't-
had to tell you
yeah.
maybe there was a better way of doing it. And you're like, yeah, that was probably smarter.
So this game surprised me with how good it is. It's, I think, probably the best sandbox open world RPG I've played in a very, very long time. I do recommend it, but I also recommend that you don't need to necessarily buy this game right away because it's got a lot of expansions planned already. So they're going to be adding a lot more content to it over time. So there's no particular urge. And there are a decent amount of bugs that are annoying. So yeah, it's nothing that you need to jump on right away if you're not interested in it. No biggie. But I do recommend checking this game out at least because it's actually pretty fun. It's just one of those games you can be like, I'm going to be a bandit. I'm going to be a knight. I'm going to be like a thief. I'm going to, be an archer, and you just go out and you do those things, and it lets you do those things relatively well. It does get a little bit scripted with certain story elements, like you can't really change certain things for the main story quest stuff, but beyond that, the side quests are relatively flexible, and you can do things. And I did discover that, yes, you can kill essential NPCs after or at quest specific points. So there are certain characters in this game that I have intentions of putting a crossbow between their eye, but don't worry about it, chat bros. You probably know who, because I now know how you can kill them and when you can kill them, because you can. I'm gonna be a kid gets eaten by a bear. That happens sometimes.
My archery skill has gone up significantly. It makes things a lot easier.
I can believe it. But yeah, this game's skill system is pretty fun. I like how it's sort of like a natural skill system, meaning that just by playing the game and engaging with mechanics, whether you're picking flowers, whether you're cooking food, whether you're doing whatever, you're generating experience from doing those actions to your character, and you're also generating a certain percentage of that experience goes to your main level, and then the other experience is then divvied towards your whatever it is you're doing, whether you're sneaking around, stealing stuff, whether you're killing or fighting, whether you're just dueling somebody just for practice sake. You get experience from doing it. The perks are fun. The characters are fun. The story is fun. It's just an all-around fun experience. And I think this is so far one of the strongest games, one of the strongest, because there's another one too, of this year though. So yeah, we didn't start off completely bad, right? Avowed and Sid Meier's Civilization 7 were, a bit questionable. Avowed being something that I just simply don't recommend ever, for the most part. Sid Meier's Civilization 7 being something I recommend you check out in 2 years' time, see if it got better, if it's gotten a little bit more seasonings added. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is the strongest release title besides one more game.
Space Monkey disagrees.
What?
Space Monkey disagrees with that statement.
No, he doesn't. He has to pay more to disagree. He's like, what? Yep.
He also, that is a game that just came out though.
That is. We're going to talk about that game. Don't you worry, Spunky Monkey. I love it when he calls me Spunky Monkey. It's my favorite nickname.
I'll read it
I
though.
love it so
For
much.
$2, Space Monkey says Girls Frontline 2 and Nike. Or Nikkei, whatever, game of the year.
Those are weeb games, but yes. Stellar Blade is going to release on Steam? It is. I'm actually curious to see if Stellar Blade is actually, like, equal to Nier Automata, because I hear it compared to Nier Automata, which is weird, because Nier Automata is, like, highly
It's for the character model.
Okay.
Probably, mostly.
I was saying, like, it's a highly philosophical game, honestly, and I think
probably just
philosophy is kind of
character
cringe,
ass.
but I thought it was okay. I think Nier Automata was not as good as Gestalt, but they all can't be winners. It did have a really good soundtrack, though. Not a bad game in the slightest, by the way. Nier Automata and Gestalt are both worth checking out. Replicant is if you're a femboy. Sorry, but facts are facts, chat bros.
They're Chinaman games, says Frederick.
Chinaman game.
And the best part is Father Nier is in the game, but they only reuse voice lines.
You can mod him to be playable.
Yeah, I know you can mod him, but in the base game, the only way to see him is to fucking do like special side content.
Yep.
And he doesn't have any new lines.
Yeah, missed opportunity. And the secret ending from Replicant also isn't particularly good. It's kind of cringe.
Unironically, it actually
ruins the
story.
game. Yeah. The new content they added in Replicant with the girl on the ship spoils the ending. So it's like
There is a reason that entire quest was cut.
Yeah,
It's a good song though.
some cut content should remain cut for a reason, because first time playthrough, that's gonna ruin the Shadow Lord reveal stuff. Badly.
I never really saw much of the game, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
If you can play Nier Gestalt, that particular version for the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3, I recommend it. It plays like ass, but the story is really good, and the writing is really good in it. It's one of the best sort of action Japanese RPGs I played ever. It's one of my favorites. My favorites. Okay, you're allowed to have one thing that you like. One. Only one, though.
No, you're not.
But yeah. Beyond that, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. The voice acting is a bit of a mixed bag, but it's incredibly funny because they have funny accents and they're all British, despite being Bohemian. The music is surprisingly good. It's got a lot of historical inaccuracies, like, carrots being orange at this point, or using words that weren't ever fucking conceived of at this point, like avalanche and other words. Like,
Yep.
I believe Semite, if I remember right, as well, is among them.
Anti-Semite, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what? They don't even know what that is. At this point, they're like, what? Like, they look at you like, what? But
Yeah, you're talking centuries.
yeah, later. Centuries later.
But don't get me wrong.
Carrot
they
thing's
didn't-
an easy mistake.
They didn't like them per se, but like that particular word, no.
Because everybody didn't like everybody. Like,
Yeah, like literally like
The next town
the
over, they hate
humans
each
coming-
other.
like the humans
Yeah.
coming to a region. It's like we don't like them. Why? Well, they're foreigners.
I mean,
Yeah,
in game, literally people,
The Hungarians that
ranting about
fled, the Romanians that
the next
are there.
village over people being terrible because they're not from there.
Everybody hates everybody at this point. Well, not necessarily hate, but there's a lot of early stage tribalism where people are. This is before what we call pan-nationalism became a thing. Pan-nationalism, to brutally and horrifically summarize, is basically the identity of we're all American, or we're all German, or we're all Bohemian, or these identities of these great nations of people rather than little town, little village. And that identity thing didn't really come about until like the 18th century, if I remember right. And the idea of that came about with the revolutions period, basically, when all those revolutions were going on and reforms were happening. Basically like the French, dealing with that, where you had the rise of republics and a lot of things like that. So yeah,
Started during the Pike and Shot era, but point still stands.
so like pan-nationalism just isn't around yet and won't be for like 4 centuries. It's just not how they think yet. Have to punch the medieval Hitler. What? The medieval Technically, if you want to be brutally honest, every little feudal lord is a kind of a little Hitler in their own way. Depending on which and where. They did commit a lot of atrocities back then, but morals and ethics were a bit different standards-wise. So,
Well, yeah, because they were heathens.
they had different
Because they
standards.
turned their back on God. Because XYZ.
We can do whatever we want to them. Just like,
They're
"Hell yeah."
possessed by demons.
Oh my god, yes. I will say that this game does capture a lot of the weird ways people thought and how spiritual people are and how easily superstitious things get. That's one thing I like.
The storyline where you were going to retrieve a body, and there it's like, can we cut him down? No, it's a warning to others. Well, that's unfortunate. He's gonna haunt the area now. What?
Yeah, his spirit's gonna come back and haunt the area because you hung him here. It's
Take
like,
him away! Take him away!
he must be buried in certain customs, or there are demons inside of the Trotsky Castle and stuff like that. And yes,
It's literally rats.
yes, Otto von Burgau himself even fought a demon at the top of the thing. It's like they have rats. They have rats. They mistake them for demons, and they don't realize that they have a rat infestation. Like they realize they have a rat infestation,
Yeah,
but they think that
from
the
what we did
byproduct
see-
is other things.
And because we saw this, we can assume canonically there are some supernatural entities in the game.
Yes, we
'Cause
actually met
did
Death.
come across Death,
Yeah.
or Death, as a certain one of our compatriots called them.
The only supernatural things we have seen so far in this game are usually of Christian nature, and there was only one specific thing. There is some supernatural stuff in this game though, because we encountered Death, and Death spoke to us and basically had a conversation with him, or the old lady. And we know she's Death and supernatural because
you physically
can't do
are
anything
not
to her.
allowed to kill her,
Steal
you can't
her.
slash her. If you shoot at her, the arrow just goes through her.
And she just keeps walking. Yep. And she only shows up at night with a lantern. And she greets you and knows everything about you. So it's like, yeah,
She
no.
calls you by name even though you never gave her your name. And knows
It's like
where
the
you-
stranger from Red Dead Redemption.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
You've had a lot of encounters with this person, but it's like, well, that's because you had close encounters with Death, and you've sent people to them. And Henry, dumbass, didn't understand. He doesn't. No matter what dialogue options you choose, Henry is too retarded to understand what just happened.
So, but here's the thing. That
Player
makes
can.
perfect sense given the setting. Like if you're a person in that time and someone has that level of familiarity with you and you're just like, don't worry about it, and you just walk away, would you like figure out eventually, like, no, I was talking to an avatar, if not actually just Death?
Listen, Henry's just a little special.
That's true. He is. He is indeed special.
He's Henry.
Henry. I'm hungry.
hungry.
The game.
So hungry.
The game's got a lot of charm. It hits a decent amount of historical things, right? But yeah, there are some things. It's not a pure historically accurate game, but I think it's satisfactory, and it's one of the closest games I've seen to just kind of getting a lot right when it comes to the feelings of like.
It's
everything.
also using a particular point in history that not too many games are set, so it's also unique.
Novel.
And yeah, I was gonna say and fresh in that regard, where it's just like it's not like Victorian England or something. I'm just throwing that out there because like that has been a setting used before.
Yep, we're basically a couple decades before the Renaissance starts off, if I remember right. So we're at the I guess you call it the high medieval point. Game should allow you to play dice with death. That would be funny. And then you lose and you die. This is game over in the game.
Literally, it has all devil dice. It's like, weird.
You lose, it just deletes your save.
Damn.
I would make a game like that. He's like, and that is why you were not allowed to design mechanics.
Damn.
What was that game where there's a multiplayer game where there's a set number of lives?
I remember hearing about that one. Yeah, people were fucking pissed at that.
You talking about
Which one?
No. This is a really obscure game that was a while ago. Where it was a game that across the entire player base, there was only a set number of lives. And that once those lives were used up, you could never play the game again.
That's
Yep, the game literally just deleted itself basically.
That's dumb.
Well, they wanted to do an art game, is what they were trying to do.
I know. It's an art game. I find that incredibly
The high concept, it's like, okay, I can understand why you'd want to explore it. But on the practical side, that is fucking retarded.
That's stupid. But yeah. And again, this is going to be subjective in this case because there might be some people that like that conceptually, but I think my issue with that as a concept is that that's just dumb. Like, okay, like me, like like if I bought something, I want to be able to play with it as much as possible, right? And if it's a fucking, piece of cheesecake, well, obviously if I eat that piece of cheesecake, it's gone, right? But video games are digital media. They don't just disintegrate over time. Right? Chad's like, no.
Mystic
Actually, I
says,
do.
Have you seen that in hardcore mode you can die before the game even starts and it'll say how you died, be it childbirth, fall in a river as a child?
That's funny.
That is actually funny.
Which game?
You fucking boot up the game.
That
and it's
game?
I
like,
think he's
and
talking about
Henry,
Kingdom Come.
and Henry
What?
died.
Have you seen that in hardcore mode? You can die before the game even starts, and it will say how you died, be it childbirth, fall into a river as a child. What? Are you actually talking about Kingdom Come
You
Deliverance?
just
or
get
that
the
other game?
shitty.
Kingdom Come, I think, because the other game didn't really have.
This doesn't
modes.
have a hardcore mode. Not yet.
Imagine you just get the shittiest luck, and like you
Maybe
like,
the
do,
first game.
The first game
4 or
got it
5.
patched in later, yes.
Well, at least it does it in the beginning. That way you don't have to waste time. And you just
Exactly.
reload it.
Yes, chat. Technically speaking, Ezio Auditore, I think, could maybe... I don't remember when he was born, actually. Henry's, already, in his 20s, I think, and he's 1403. So he'd be like a fucking grandpappy. Assuming that Ezio Auditore is around in 1460s.
Oh, you're forgetting. Ezio didn't die anywhere. He died specifically in a particular place, so he can talk to Desmond at some point.
as a ghost?
Well, no, Ezio Auditore would be younger than Henry.
Assassin's Creed story's dumb.
It is. But I really prefer it over the modern Assassin's Creed story.
I honestly, I before they started doing anything with the modern stuff, the early Assassin's Creed story, okay, let's see where this goes, and they took it to a shitty place, and it's like, well, okay.
He starts in 1476.
14.
Henry would be dead by then. That or he's 100 plus years old.
Henry is
Could be.
immortal.
Him and Dev have a deal.
Yeah. Because he's in Bohemia and Ezio Auditore was born in one of the Italian states.
Henry's still there to this day, just wandering around, telling people he's hungry.
He's hungry. And he's old. He didn't. He died in the Embers film. He didn't die in Revelations. I don't remember that. I thought he died in Revelations, but hey, my memory's rusty.
It doesn't matter.
It's rusty pusty. Next game we gotta talk about is the other game that came out this year, which was actually a surprisingly good game. Oh wow, I'm glad that the sales numbers have actually started to climb for this title. It definitely deserves it.
Well, at the price point.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. Sorry, the price point, I just can't safely recommend it, but it is fun. It is definitely something that I think people should pick up. The new Dynasty Warriors game had a really fun combat system, and really felt like I got quite a bit of I haven't even beaten it yet. I'm only 38.2 hours in, but I'm getting
The
close.
worst part of the game is the main character.
Yeah, I think
He's
that's
just so
my biggest
boring.
criticism. Your character,
Everything else
is
is
the cringiest.
good. anything involving your main character or characters talking to
Anytime
you,
they say Guardian
horrible.
of Peace or Zilofang
Or
or
or they
it's
start
like
going on about how amazing you are, they love you.
Ziluan or whatever your name was.
Yeah,
Guardian
it
of
almost sounds like they
Peace.
want to. It almost sounds like they want to get in your pants.
They do.
Everyone in this
Especially all
game
the
is
solo mods.
incredibly. Okay. Other criticism. I have never played chat made me play a gay visual novel once as a meme, and we played it and it was bad and I hated it. This is gayer than that. This is gayer than Furry Shades of whatever the gay was, whatever you guys made me play 3. This is gayer than that
Was it
game,
3?
but it's really good. I don't know. It had gay furry sex in it, and it was gross. And you guys made me play it, right? I played this, and I thought that this game was kind of gayer in terms of dialogue than that game.
It is. But it's only when it's with your character.
Whenever you have character interactions with like any of the characters, like, you know, I really appreciate you
All
and
the other
everything you've
characters
done
when
for
they're
me.
talking to
Let's
each
kiss.
other,
It's like,
So it's like all the other characters when they talk to each other, it's like no homo. But when they look at your character and it's just like you're waiting for them to say no homo, when they just keep nodding.
they just like keep staring at you like, God, you know, I really warmed up to you, and you know, you're so great, and
I just don't know what it is.
I'd
about
love
you.
to
I just
spend
feel
some-
so comfortable.
can we spend some time together alone tonight? And like they'll say stuff like that, and they just say that. It's like, I can't wait to spend some time with you tonight. And it's not just one of them, it's all of them. I feel like I'm being passed around.
And and because of the voice actors, they say in the most serious of tone, and it just makes it.
So
Oh, the
make it
English
all
voice
worse.
acting is amazing.
You need to play, if you pick this game up, the English voice acting is so good. It's so bad, it's amazing. It's art. So-
It is.
I,
The
probably
only-
always
I
think
wish you had done more stuff for Lubu. Because apparently he gets really rapey and it's hilarious.
Oh, we're gonna be doing more for Lubu. Or no, Lubu gets rapey?
Yeah,
Oh my
Lubu
God.
with the
really
feathers, not
wants you.
Lube, right?
yeah,
No,
Lubu.
Lubu.
Lubu
You're-
gets
you got-
rapey?
He's like, you got
Yeah.
a purr mouth.
Oh damn. we
He's
should've
like,
done
I
more.
will make you mine even if you don't want to.
What the fuck?
Oh my God.
That sounds like they would say that though, because they do that in this game.
That is very woo-boo behavior.
It is.
This game is incredibly gay, but also incredibly great. And
The only
Hilarious.
thing it's missing is just not giving a fuck how to properly say Chinese names.
That is the unfortunate thing. They tried to say
They
the
try to
names
say it
how they
right.
would be,
and that's a bit
which
annoying.
is unfortunate.
General PP.
Like back in the
General
day.
PP.
General Cow Cow.
Cowpea.
Cowpea. Cowpea.
Yeah, because that's how it reads in English.
Oh my god.
The
This-
General PP.
The combat in this is pretty good. The boss battles are pretty fun. Like when you fight Zhang Feng or whatever the fuck, whatever the guy, the leader of the Yellow Turban is, you literally fight Jesus Christ.
Zhang Zhao or something like that.
Yeah. You fight literally Chinese Jesus Christ, and it's an epic battle, and it felt like epic, and his
I
death was
about to
great.
get to that.
The prologue for this game is so good. Like, it blew me away with not only how gay it was, but
It blew you away, literally.
it's like, oh, fuck it. But yeah, this is like the first proper Dynasty Warriors game I've ever played, and
It's the best one.
I think it's everyone who's played Dynasty Warriors says this is the best one. But this one's good. It's really good.
Easily.
They've actually done something with the combat and innovated enough to where, okay,
Yes.
you're actually getting to a pretty good spot now with how you handle your troops, with the scale of the battles, the engine work they did, of which I will always say this is their own in-house engine they've been working on for a long time, and they actually developed it.
Yes, this is
And the pet- Go ahead.
as I said, this is the case for in-house engines. Like they need to, studios need to actually pursue that more.
Yeah, and well, string is to Avowed. Avowed is Unreal Engine 5, and look at the look at that from a pure technical aspect. Compare it to this. Which do you think was developed better?
The amount of
Dynasty
models
Warriors
this
or
game
Origin?
can handle. Like when if anyone plays this game and you pick this up, chat, and you get to the battle with the Yellow Turban leader, and the battle on the staircase leading up to like his god thing, like, and all the banners and all the fluttering banners and all the toots, like it's just the amount of stuff this game handles at a time
It
is
also
just
runs
really
pretty
good.
well.
It ran
Yeah,
fucking
it
buttery
runs
smooth.
well. It looks good. It
like,
looks
Koei
good, it
really
runs well,
knocked
and
it out of the
animation
park.
Quality, yeah, the animation quality, especially for the amount of models, is fantastic.
Yeah.
Can you do can honestly anybody say any developer could do this in Unreal Engine 5? I say no. Or at least not well.
Revive Dynasty Warriors Gundam. I mean, who knows?
I mean,
I remember that game.
the
But
big
can you
thing.
make Gundam gayer than it already is?
Yes.
Well, maybe.
So one thing I will
No,
say
definitively. Yes.
about this though is when I did do research about Dynasty Warriors as a franchise, one thing I did learn about it is that it was incredibly stagnated as a franchise before this game. This game
Yes.
basically
Oh,
got
yeah.
them out of that stagnation. So it's entirely going to be up to Koei Tecmo to literally not, what's the word? Stagnate again. Like they need to keep marching forward after this
Yeah,
because they need to build
around-
on it.
Yeah.
If they
between
stay with their
3
trend.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, between 3 and this one, it was stagnant. It's
I
like
think
there was
4 was
no
the last
innovation.
time we saw any kind of innovation on it.
Yeah, 4, I think I tried a little bit of it at a friend's house, but that was around the time I remember, and ever since then, it's been stagnant. They tried to break out of that with the open world Dynasty Warriors, and it fell flat on its face. They might as well have been face planting into a brick wall as if it was a diving board. It was so bad. This
No.
was an actual proper innovation.
Now, if they stay with their trend, if they release the game, then they release spin-offs of that one. Because, you know, they got like Dynasty Warriors 6 and then Dynasty Warriors 6 Empires, Dynasty Warriors 6 Legend, or whatever. If they stay with that trend, then we'll see a Dynasty Warriors Origin Empires or something, which will be very interesting to see.
I do think they
do
should
do
add
that.
multiplayer or do something with multiplayer with this. The first game being single player is neat and all, but if the spin-off games, because from what I know about the Empires thing, is like you get to conquer territories on the map. I think that would work with multiplayer.
If they made Empire and multiplayer, that would be amazing to play.
And literally, the multiplayer could be whoever the companion player 1 picks, that's who player 2 plays.
I mean, that's how it's always been. It's basically co-op. Like,
Yeah.
not always. There was versus stuff, but that was just arena fight.
And they should let you play. You shouldn't be like a homebrew character. You should just be like one of the named characters, because being the homebrew
That's
character,
what
That's
all
what I'm
games
saying.
do
It's
that.
like whoever you pick as like the companion.
Yep.
It's just like whoever that's who player
unless
2 plays.
unless we really, I mean, part of me wants them to do the homebrew character again because the amount of gay dialogue was so funny.
If that's the case, then they can literally do like
It's so funny.
2 brothers or brother and sister, or like literally just something like that, and then those are the main characters.
If I recall, Empires does allow you to make your own custom nations, or at least some of the older ones.
It
so
does,
it's a
but
high-
you could also play as the existing characters.
Yeah,
Both
it'll,
options were there.
It's versatile. It allows you to just have fun with the settings. Like, here's a setting, go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of fun to it.
Dynasty Warriors was basically like EA's FIFA or NFL, and you could leave it for like 10 years and see basically no improvement. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad to see that this case it changed. You know what's funny is I remember playing sports games with a friend of mine because one of my friends, well, back when I used to play football. Sports ball. We played a football game, and there's one football game on the PS2 where you started like a career as like a college kid, and then that was like the origin story for your like getting. I don't remember what the name of the game was called, but it was really cool. And then you had like a career for your character and stuff like that, and that was cool. And then they never made anything like that again. That or I've dreamt that, and that sounds cool, and I've never seen it. But I swear to God, I've seen him play it.
Yeah, Battlefront 3.
You're mean. So this little chuckle fuck here sends me leaked footage of Battlefront 3, and I for like 3 days straight I had like dreams about Battlefront 3, and I kept waking up upset. In various degrees of like, God damn it.
You should send him more leaked footage, Bucky.
There's no more.
I will.
I've already looked at all of it. They won't find nothing. What are they
And it
even
was
going
so
to
close to being done.
There's so much you can do with there's so much you can do with secular sports. I mean, the thing
Give
is,
us Thrasball.
you can if you actually do something interesting, right? You could make a baseball game. You could make a soccer game. I think we should never let developers be lazy. We should always be trying to push and innovate and develop something and take risks. Like that sports game I talked about where you got to start like a career in like college and then you work your way up and then you had like a girlfriend. And if I remember right, you even upgraded your girlfriend, which is weird. Like you just replaced her with a better one or something.
Like, hey girl,
Trophy
I'm
wives.
sorry, but your best friend gives me +5 to running, so get the fuck out of my life.
She's better at making me run faster because she's scary. I don't know. I'm talking about the concept of the thing FIFA was always about, the normie clubs and players. I think we should, I don't know, we need to radicalize the normies, the casual gamers. We need to radicalize them into becoming gamer terrorists.
In video games. In video games.
The thing is,
They do it in
if
video games.
jokes aside, if
No,
they could,
in real life.
if they could somehow be reasoned with, bargained with, converted into being true gamers, then that would be really convenient, because by forcing FIFA and other games to improve would actually help the industry as a whole, because it's actually the entire spectrum of all games that needs to be adopting this mentality. I don't like using the word spectrum because it hurts my feelings. What?
I don't know. I don't know why you saying that just reminded me of one of the Xbox conferences that just pissed me off, because for like an hour when they were doing it, it was just like, here's FIFA stuff, and here's Pele, one of the greatest soccer players or whatnot around, and it's like, I don't fucking care.
Fucking Hands over here. Hands like, Hands don't care. Hands is done with this stuff. Hands just had enough.
I don't fucking care that you got some famous fucking soccer player to come to talk.
I hate soccer.
Oh my god, chat, we already have enough. I don't know why, but our only Chatfish propaganda poster we ever funded is literally communist based, inspired. This is your fault, chat.
I think it's actually your fault.
You know why.
The normies who play FIFA just buy a PS or Xbox, buy a FIFA, and some of them also play COD. And that is the games they buy in a year. Yep, and they buy them every year when something new comes out too. And that's what they bank on, like these yearly or bi-yearly releases, which is bad. And this is why we just mentioned why it was bad for the industry. Because with Total War, they did the same thing. And other studios are actually trying to do the same thing, where they're trying to make all these games literally like, oh, buy this game every couple years. Here's this game regurgitated. Total War tried that with the
Not
Sagas.
only that, but they want to do it at the higher price too.
Yeah, it's like here
Where
buy
it's like,
it for $60
just what games
or 70.
that's the bare minimum games deserve to be now. It's like, fuck off.
Shreddo's become a member. Thank you for becoming a member. He's become a disciple of Squeak. I hope you're having a good time guarding your guard post. I assume you're done with that by now. I know he was
bragging about being sleep deprived.
I am back, nerd. Okay, he is done. Okay. You happy you're done doing that? Thank you for the donation, Shreddo.
Burrito.
He had to pull guard duty. It didn't sound like he was a particularly happy camper. It sounded like he was a little cranky after you guys went to bed, but
no one else could hide in
showed
the
up.
corner as well as Strato could.
Pretty much. I just can't get over his Chatfish, honestly. Like, every time I see it, I'm reminded by the fact that he's a brown little fish. He's a with a bar of chocolate. Like, that's just weird. Nobody would be happy doing that keep.
And
yeah, no.
rope.
Don't worry about that. Let's not look at the details. It's very inconvenient. Now, if only people didn't suck so much, communism might work someday. Well, that's because the idea of communism is entirely dependent on the fact that humans don't exist. And we're all a hive mind. Yeah, pretty much. This is what the problem with individuality and, self-determination. You kind of want to do your own thing. You kind of want to work for things. You want to earn things. I want to have a cheesecake. I want to have pizza. I want to be able to buy the new game that comes out. I want to make something. These things are not okay, because me wanting thing is the problem, because the state doesn't want thing. The hive mind. Just the hive mind. The great mind, it knows. This one's communism, and this one's Bucky.
This one's Brap.
Brap are the same. What? How's the Brap the same as...
From yesterday.
This one's Brap, and this one's Reguline are the same.
I think you're full of Brap.
Because he smells like crap. He smells
You smell like poopy. You smell like...
The Helldiver's automaton is the only solution. Yeah, pretty much. Beep boops is literally the only way, yeah. You don't see one ant group share with another tribe ants groups. I mean, you want to apply that into a geopolitical simulator video game? You don't see every communist nation joining the same alliance, do you? You see them fighting each other. Because guess what? They're human. Humans are going to do what humans do.
Turns out they don't like other people doing communism wrong.
Your flavor has too much strawberry in it. I prefer mine with a nice low carb of nothing. Brother Stratnoid's $5 say the new chatfish will be white. Oh no, you're gonna make a white chocolate fish?
I will not allow that.
You don't get to choose.
You have not attained the role of whiteness, but you are on the racist.
The funny thing is, now Chatfish, no, Chatfish, we're slipping down the slippery slope into Rule 6. Chatfish, you're gonna give me trouble. Chatfish, stamp it. Don't punish them. It's my fault.
Oh, Reguline's.
No, it's my fault, Chat. I'm sorry. I led you astray.
You're easily distracted. It's true.
I was thinking about video games, and you did this to me, Chapros. It's all your fault. And you can apologize to me, okay? All of you can start apologizing to me right now. You can start... How about... Oh, new idea. We apologize in the form of $5 bills. Yes. All of you take turns, form a queue, an orderly queue. Reguline, get the bucket.
No.
We're like a church, you know, where you got to pass the little thing around, the basket. This is called
You can get
the indulgence
$5
basket.
from the bank holding my money.
God damn it, Choomba. You and your doomsday-ish. Doomer Choomba. Doomer. You can't stop people being assholes. Sam and Phoenix. I bet he was an asshole, too. How do you feel about that, chat bros? So yeah, Dynasty Warriors Origins, not bad. I mean, all in all, of the 4 games we covered that were new and they were particularly big blockbusters, so far, you know, half of them were all right. Half of them were good. And the other half kind of, you know, well, one quarter of them sucked. And 1/4 of them was, it'll be better in 2 years' time. Shouldn't have even come out this year. As far as other news goes, the upcoming games that we have of interest, and do let me know if there's any you'd like me to look at, chat, but the ones I'm going to talk about are real briefly. So we've got
What
some...
about Girls Frontline too?
Oh, yeah, no, okay, yeah, I almost forgot that.
Also, Harlot gifted a membership. Thank you, Harlot.
Power. Cornish reality. No.
What was the fucking name of the Girls Frontline 2 game?
Girls Frontline.
Yeah, but if I type in Girl Front...
It's
Girls.
one more. I'm pretty sure it's one more. Girls, not girl front.
Girls.
Help.
Apostrophe. Frontline 2.
It doesn't...
Exilium.
It doesn't show up.
Girls.
Exilum?
Girls.
No, it doesn't generate. Exilum.
I'm posting the link to it in the VC.
I
chat.
can't get this to pop up.
Did you click ignore on it or something?
Probably. I have games I ignore in my computer.
So, Kibbs, do you want to know what's the
Exilium.
first thing that pops up when
Exilium.
I type in girls? Girls Frontline 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is another new game we played this year. This is going to be a game that honestly does not particularly appeal to me, but if you like gacha games, here's another gacha game. I have not a lot of positive things to say about gacha, because gacha is one of the reasons why the West has problems. Because, okay, so we need to talk about this a little briefly. So gacha games, not this game in particular, I'm not even talking about this game. Gacha games literally are the reason why some of my favorite franchises are dead. So I don't like gacha games. They killed Command and Conquer. They killed oh my god. What else did they kill? They almost killed Total War. They're almost dead with that Kingdoms Battles game, or whatever the fuck they called it. Total War Kingdoms. Oh god. Don't want to remember that. That's one that should just be forgotten to the sands of time. But yeah, I'm not a particularly big fan of gacha because it brings in the wrong type of industry. It basically takes gaming, and what it does is it effectively turns it into microtransactions, even more egregious than I'd ever seen before. RNG gambling mechanics that you pay for. This, in my opinion, is everything wrong with gaming as a whole. You don't get that. And it's specifically the gacha mechanic. And we're not even talking about this game, remember, because I know some people are sensitive about this topic. But don't you love the Presso gacha game? That's not a gacha game. That's a Presso prize game. Presso prize. Oh, that's an extended reward we offer as a bonus. But in this particular case, this thing is fucking something else altogether. Whoa. I don't like it. I don't much care for it, Chad Bros. Now, specifically, talking about the Girls Frontline Exilium 2 game, as a game, it's incredibly basic, to put it fairly, or justly, I guess we could say. Its combat mechanics are about as shallow as XCOM's. So as far as tactics go, it does really nothing new in that regard.
It has its audience and it plays to that audience.
Yeah.
That's all it has to do.
It has an established audience. It appeals to its audience, and its audience enjoys this particular type of game, and that's great for them, and I'm happy for them. But for me, this game doesn't really appeal to me because I just don't think it's interesting. I think mechanically, I think it's basically mechanically just like Avowed. It has nothing new in terms of tactics gameplay that make it unique. The only thing I will say is that it doesn't look like ass, right? Like, artistically, this game has a better art style than Avowed. Artistically, I don't remember the music, so I can't really comment on that. What are you laughing about, you little chucklebuck?
It's like thinking of nice things to say.
I mean, that
Thinking of nice things to say.
it's not necessarily thinking like that is nice. Like I do think it has a better art style. I think the anime aesthetic is infinitely better than whatever the fuck Avowed looks like. I think
Generic Unreal Engine.
Avowed looks
art
like
style, yeah.
ass. I'm gonna be straight. I'm gonna be honest. Like, that's better. It visually looks better. It's not my favorite art style specifically, but if I had to choose, I'd rather play this than Avowed. Easily. Hands down, without dispute. At least here, the characters don't make me want to stab my eyes out with a spork. You know? Like,
I remember you spent a long time looking at the characters sleeping.
yep.
And their feet.
We had some goon sessions proper when we streamed this game. Chat goon. We had a goon sesh together, right, chat? Listen, if we're gonna make me play gooner games, chat, we're gonna goon together, right? This is a community gooning effort here. We're gonna work together. We're gonna goon together. You know, this is what it's about. Like, we're here to goon. We're gonna goon, and that's what we're gonna do. And you know what? Gooner wise, I give it a 6 out of 10. No kidding, 6 out of 10. That's good.
Proper gooning.
It was a solid goon sesh. I've gooned many times before, but I can say I've never gooned in a group. Communal gooning.
A circle gooning, if you.
We turned the stream room into the goon cave. The goon cave.
The Great Rizzler. Yeah.
Oh my god. I don't know if we're necessarily the Great Rizzler. He's too prestigious for us. I'm not fit to be in his goon stare. I will say that I had more fun reviewing this game than I did have fucking playing fucking Avowed. In terms of like summarizing this. But yeah, this game is free. If you want to try it, there's nothing stopping you. The bar to entry is literally free, but bear in mind that it does have gacha mechanics and it's going to try to incentivize you to do microtransactions in relatively predatory ways. But as long as you know that it does that and you're aware of that, then whatever. Damn. Shoving her down to the desk. They know what they were doing there.
There we go. I clipped that.
Which one? The goon
The
sesh?
entire goon conversation.
Yes.
She got big tits.
I was not letting you get away with that.
Her tits are okay.
You like Krillic.
Not
Krillic
every
was a bunny
gun can
girl.
have big tits, Kibbs.
You need variety. Spice of life, And this game does well, by the way.
This guy fucks guns.
I feel bad that the generic cool armored dudes are getting fucking raffle stomped by a bunch of anime high school girls. I know that they're dolls and they're like
Kib's basically pulling the. Remember when like random fucking bad guy armor was fucking cool as shit?
now they're just like little fucking losers that just get mauled, and I just feel bad for them. Look at those guys. They're like wearing like all this kit. Like, what was the point of that? There's a Bradley fighting
They have
vehicle
a
now.
fucking Bradley, and the Bradley isn't doing its fucking job.
See, they're literally automatas. Like, bullshit. Cheating. Hacks. Hacks. Cheater. Cheater. Holy Fury Fish is having a crunky day. He says, Unreal Engine is slowly forming the graphical equivalent of the fluoride stare. I'm beginning to hate it. Yeah, the problem is when you just don't do anything with Unreal Engine artistically, and you don't make use of it as an art form, and you just use its base systems, everything's going to look regurgitative.
We were seeing that a lot with Unreal Engine 4. Not so much with 3. 3 was still a decent engine, but with 4, and especially with 5, you could really see they all look the same. The Unreal Engine 5 look.
Blake asks, whole premise of the world is, what if we gave guns the sex dolls?
Yeah, pretty much. And they can upload themselves. Like, the story-wise, I will say that it's not actually terrible. I mean, it's actually better than Avowed, and
Low bar.
bar's not high, but listen, if we're talking about games that came out this year, oh damn, the tits bounced on that one like crazy. It's less gay than Dynasty Warriors Origins, which might be positive or negative depending on how you enjoyed that humor.
Well, no, actually, no, it's not, because remember, you were playing as a female character, so it was still gay.
Oh yeah, true. Pretty high gay level. Pretty.
Gay
Just
level. Relative.
Let me just review my notes. Pretty fucking gay. Pretty fucking.
You've passed the gates.
But yeah, it's free. It costs virtually nothing to play, and if you don't like it, you can just uninstall it. There's nothing particularly negative I have to say about this game, because realistically there's nothing negative about it. The only thing I have to forewarn you about is that there are microtransactions. The microtransactions are a little bit insidious in terms of how they work, because that's how gacha games function. But you can play it without engaging with the microtransactions. Bear in mind that you will be unlocking things at an incredibly slower rate. And if you're happy with that, and that's what you're okay with, then by all means. It definitely appeals to its market, and if you like gacha games, it's probably one of the highest quality gacha games. Now, this is something we need to talk about real briefly. The evolution of games, real quickly. We normally don't have to talk about this, because we normally don't talk about mobile games, but this is basically just a mobile game on our market now, right? And in this particular regard, it's actually incredibly advanced and sophisticated. I had mentioned this before when we talked about Genshin Impact, back when that came out, and basically the synopsis of that is that this is a net good for the industry in terms of advancing the games platform forward. The more advanced mobile games become, the better that will help everyone else in the industry. And the reason why is because the mobile gaming industry is one of the largest industries of subsectors of the gaming industry. It makes the most money. And so the more advanced and sophisticated these games get, that means the more demanding the mobile game market will be towards higher quality games. Which means, for us, things like Command & Conquer, which is stuck on mobile, will eventually reach a point in which it has no excuse to operate as a mobile game and will have to be as complicated or as sophisticated as the PC versions were that we had decades prior. And with that being said, there is evidence to suggest this, by the way. If you look at Feral Interactive, a porting game company that ports to mobile, they have experience porting not only Company of Hero, but Tropico, a race car game, name I can't remember, and also Medieval Total War and Company of Heroes to your mobile device. And have done so in such a way, and they just recently ported Empire Total War, by the way, that these once state-of-the-art PC games that came out respectively a decade plus ago are now on your phone and operable. I have Empire Total War on my phone right here beside me. I have played it on my phone to see how it feels. It's clunky, yes, but it plays Empire Total War, and it plays it better than the PC release, because the Feral Interactive team actually improved the game. which is annoying, by the way, because that means the PC version is now inferior. Fucking kill me. Fucking kill me. But, oh my god. But I want to point out that that has more restored features and content than the fucking PC version does. That means that this little fucking brick in my hands will one day be able to play the Halo MCC collection. Will one day be able to play whatever the fuck we played yesterday. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 can be played on your phone one day. It will be playable on your phone. It's just a matter of time.
Touch controls for those games are going to be...
It's going to be special. It's going to be bad in terms of like annoying to play. But what's interesting is that you can play those games on your phone right now through streaming services, and you can actually buy a wireless controller that's Bluetooth that actually connects to your phone and play it that way on your phone. I've seen people do it. And mostly because I've seen my dad do it with, what was the game? He played fucking, oh my god, what was it? It was Metro Exodus. I saw him playing. And I'm like, how the are you doing that? Like, you're streaming
you can
it?
also connect a controller to your phone.
Yeah. And that's how he has a little controller he plugs into it. Because he just doesn't game on his PC anymore. It's like, oh my god. So weird.
Also, Green Branch gifted a membership earlier.
So weird. So yeah. Oh, and thank you for the gifted membership, Green Branch. That's very generous. But yeah, basically to my point, the more advanced these games get on your phone and on your handheld device, the less excuse mobile developers will have to be lazy, because the market will be more competitive. And as the market gets more competitive and more advanced, as the mobile industry advances, we will see the slowly PC games will have to do the exact same thing. And we'll also see higher quality games come from mobile to PC. Just like we see lots of high quality console games come to PC as well. Hell, my favorite game, one of my favorite games, fucking Helldivers 2, is a console game. And it runs butter smooth on the PC and was made also with being functional on the PC in mind. That's going to happen.
And for the PSP as well. It's a handheld game.
And also, as these mobile games get to start competing more and more with the big AAA releases, that increased competition on top of people preferring the more open ecosystem, that's going to put a lot of pressure on the inefficiencies of the big AAA publishers to start performing. Or it's also going to create opportunities for new developers to come forward and actually grow and replace the old guard that have declined over time via what we discussed over previous podcasts.
God
and that's
damn.
going to help us in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, her tits were really bouncy there. Every time, I'm like, wow. They bounce
We're
a
not allowed
lot.
to see them
They
anymore.
bounce a lot. All right, so chat bros, this is a goon cast now. This is a goon. Like, what? But yeah,
Let's figure on the clip button.
pretty much. The big thing I will say is that as these mobile games get better, mobile games will unironically actually end up being a net positive for the industry. Initially, they were a negative. This is true, but it was only a matter of time till these things actually start to help the whole industry as a whole. Sadly, we're not quite there yet, but this game is actually a good thing. I don't like gotcha stuff, but Girls Frontline Exilium 2 is a good thing for the industry, and it's going to be a good thing for the consumers as a whole. More advanced games with more high quality content from other studios and companies that are not EA or Activision will break the stranglehold that these companies have had over the PC market for so long. That's going to be good. We're going to win, chat bros. We just got to be patient and wait for your little handheld devices to catch up. But they're getting there. And the fact that they've gotten as far in advance as they have now means that in another few years' time, Jesus Christ, if you can play fucking Empire Total War on your phone, Empire Total War with large armies shooting at each other, like, when are you going to be able to play Total War Warhammer on your phone? Or like things like that.
Warhammer was a mistake.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of resource intensive games, right? I'm using it as an example. I'm not a particularly big fan of the game, but if you can play that on your phone, I'm just saying that phone games are going to have to step up their game to match these games, because I did cursory glance some of the Medieval 2 and reviews on mobile games. God, we really ought to do this as a bunch cast separate, but I did glance those things, And what I can say is what I found interesting about the mobile gamers is when they talk about these PC games, because they don't even know that they've been out for ages, most of them. Some of the reviews is interesting when they read like, oh man, like Rome Total War, like when they made Rome Total War was really good. I'm not really sure why they made Medieval 2. Like I didn't see a Medieval 1 anywhere. And it's like, yeah, they don't know that there is a Medieval.
You just look at
I
them.
have no idea.
Ancient magic to me. I was there.
I was there when it was written. Basically, yes. There's a lot of people who are confused about that. And then when the Empire Total War came out, like, wow, this is really cool. I wonder where the Total War series is going to go. Poor guys don't know. But it's funny because you were seeing like a new dynamic open up in the industry. And this is going to mean that the consumer base is going to grow. Mobile games are going to make it better for indies when the indie sphere can more easily make games for not just PC, but also phones. This is going to break the stranglehold of publishers. The golden age of the indies are only going to improve as time goes on. Assuming that we don't get things like Unity trying to do what they did earlier with the whole, we're going to charge you for every download bullshit.
Did it ever go through?
Legally.
Or was it just...
Legally, they'd be sued for that. I don't even see how they could fucking
but
get away with that.
A mere threat.
did they ever like
made
implement
them
a
implode.
similar thing to it though?
They're going to try something. Usually when it comes to these corporations, if they try it once, they'll try it again. DLC was rejected many times, but eventually people found a way around it. Gacha games, as they exist today, if you traveled back to the 90s or early 2000s and talked about them in the Western market, the reaction would be incredibly violent in terms of like how people react. Now, when Girls Frontline Exilium 2 came out, people didn't bat an eye at it. It's what people expected. And to be fair, it is a market, and there's a market there for it, right? Me, myself, I'm kind of against DLC. I kind of think games should just kind of be released with the whole thing, but that's sort of an old way of thinking, sadly. Sadly, we're part of the old guard now. Sad.
Yeah, and one thing you're starting to see as this market grows, Unity being a good example, much of the tech talent and all this technology-focused stuff, including games development, a lot of it was focused in, say, Los Angeles, Bellu, Seattle, San Francisco, a lot of these few areas with very similar culture philosophies, and a lot of companies and business people and developers with a lot of similar thinking ways. And a lot of that's natural. A lot of the talent pools tend to coalesce here, but as you're seeing things disperse to other geographic reasons, the increased competition, this game we're seeing being another example, that's also going to help us in the long run, as it means these bad philosophies and these bad employment areas can't just get away with their inefficiencies and their problems anymore.
Yep. That's true, Fuzzy Buddy. 5
Now,
gives
the one
left.
problem we're facing,
Shit.
the one problem we're facing is the game engine market is going to take a little bit of sorting out with Unity imploding, and now it's just Unreal Engine for a disgusting amount of developers, but we'll see what time tells. If Unreal Engine 5's problems mean people are just going to get sick of it and go to other things.
Nom Noms has decided to become a gooner.
5
job,
years
Full
left
Lagoon.
on Ghoulish Want Wine. Not a bad download speed from the server, he says, with a little speech impediment, because all Chatfish were born with one. Wait, F for a fallen Chatfish? What are you talking about?
Nom Noms.
Oh, because he's dead. Gotcha.
He's a gooner now.
He's a goonfish.
Full goon levels activated.
The goon bucket is slimy for not water reasons. Just like, whoa.
It's Yugish, I swear!
Mythic says Pokemon until recently mainly used Unity. Nintendo would sue the crap out of them. It wouldn't just be them. It would be like a lot of main publishers, because they wanted to retroactively charge for this, by the way. It wasn't just every time somebody downloaded a copy of their game, they wanted a certain percentage of cents out of that game. It was any time they looked up pirated numbers of pirated copies, they wanted to charge a percentage of revenue for each pirated copy downloaded from each pirate website's like log of how many people allegedly downloaded, based on general estimates that they would conduct internally.
Which you could
Retroactively.
really verify.
Retroactively. So That means that these studios that have made their profit, their games would actually turn into the things that would kill them. Their own product would basically cause them attrition to the point where if a game had basically become abandonware, the amount of times it was downloaded as abandonware would be cost to charge you for the amount of times it was theoretically downloaded based on estimates of user traction on a website. And God only knows where they get that number from. As a former anti-piracy agent, I don't even know where they get that number from.
There's no way that you would actually be able to not quantify, but verify those numbers.
Because the big thing is, back when I used to anti-piracy, I used to do generalized estimates. Generalized estimates is like, okay, based on user interaction and traction, there is stuff being pirated of your work through this website, period. We know that. It seems like there's a decent amount, and it wouldn't it's not about numbers, because you really can't nail down specifics, because the amount of people that download something, they might have downloaded it, or one person might have downloaded it 3 times on 4 different things. Like, there's no way to know.
The only thing that website would be tracking is number of downloads, but it's not number of users necessarily.
And that's assuming that data is accurate too, which is another assumption, because you don't really know and there's no way to verify. And so, like, we know that
you
your
just
stuff...
have to trust that they're being honest when they say, this is the number that you have to pay up for.
As an agent, the only thing you'd really be interested in would be, okay, how is the content hosted on this site? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, then odds are probably it's being used. Probably. But there's, again, no way to really confirm that. And so the only thing that does matter in that case is that they're hosting that content, and it is illegal to host and redistribute that content. And so that's how you catch them. Because you're not allowed to redistribute, you know. Like, you can't, well, legally, you can't download Medieval 2 and, you know, give it to your friend, because you're not supposed to do that. Now, can you stop somebody from doing that and cracking the game? No, not really. Is there a way to stop them? Not really, without being incredibly authoritarian and being like busting everyone's door down and seeing what they're doing, and that just violates all sorts of laws. So that's why when it comes to the field, usually the field is about not stopping the individual person from pirating, because that's pointless. The only thing that matters is stopping the file hosting to cut off the source. Did the kids beat the game, or did the game beat the kid? Well, you're a little orange. He's like, damn.
Beat off.
Oh no. You didn't say that. You're adding words. You're lying. You're lying.
Why would I lie?
Why wouldn't you lie? You just did. To me. To my face. Chabros, punish him. Destroy him. Let's see. Okay, so now on to the next subject. So the next subject of today's little bunchcast is talking about upcoming games to look forward to. Now, for games I'm particularly interested in, I can always check my wish list, but I can't remember what's upcoming too much. There's actually no. Let's talk about something a little bit more.
Wish list is almost the size of mine.
Well, yeah, some of it's actually old stuff. I updated based on that. All right, so there's an interesting game that's coming out March 27th by a studio, if you're familiar, called Rebellion. A bit of a, they have a tendency to release interesting concepts, but sometimes it can be of varying degrees of quality. This game is basically like a Fallout set in Britain, like a Fallout London, if you will, sorta. It's like a post-apocalypse if something went horribly wrong or whatever. It looks interesting, and it's on my list of things to check out. So there is, you know, another sandbox game that might be of interest. We'll see. Rebellion has a... They generally produce fun things, like, you know, Rogue Trooper was fun, or the Sniper Elite series was fun. We'll have to see how this one turns out. It's really going to be down to that. Sorry, I needed a drink because so much talking.
It's a red TARDIS.
It's a what?
It's just a phone booth.
Oh, yeah, just randomly in the middle of nowhere. A red TARDIS.
The TARDIS, Doctor Who phone booth.
But yeah, it looks mildly interesting. It's an action-adventure RPG, it claims. So there'll be role-playing game mechanics. And set in sort of like a 1980s sort of like Britain, I think. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe 1950s or 60s. What's that gun? Gun nuts. Come here. What's that? What's that right there? What's that? That's probably
not
just
a
like
British gun.
Looks like
It's
a
a
foul.
bing bong, biddly boo. Number 45.
That is a foul.
Maybe we can determine what era this game is set in.
Like
approximately.
Galil?
Just like
Galil is an Israeli one, isn't it?
Yeah,
Looks like
I
an
believe that's
FNN
Israeli.
Looks
Foul.
like an foul.
so. This man must be.
Chatfish are investigating. With the
British
lane
do
glass.
use FALs, and
He must be
Artist
British
was a
and
police box, not a phone box.
Correct. It's where you could lock up suspects in until you get a paddy wagon.
Yep.
Jewish. Get in the cube, and they get stuck in the cube forever.
Get in the crystal.
That was a funny meme.
Welcome to the stream, Gregors.
When he says crystal, I
Is
just
that
think of
good?
that now. You ruined the word crystal for me. You ruined that.
Good.
All right, let's see. But yeah, this game looks kind of interesting. I've slapped it on my wish list. It does have a streamer tax, yes, and it is $70 streamer tax. But on the one bright side, its base price is $50. So for non-streamers, lucky you. Fucking jealous of you guys.
Hold on, you say wish list. I'm pretty sure you bought it.
Yeah, no, I bought it because I need to for the stream stuff.
Oh, yeah, but
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Yeah. That was what I was saying. Thank you, Hans. Chumba. Chumba bad. Chumba dumb.
Now I'm waiting
go
for
crawl into bed.
either. Now I'm waiting for either Fuzzy or Gay Uline to say, "Cubes, do you know what that means? You have to buy it."
Oh my god, he'll do that. He'll say like something obvious, something like that. Also, Doom
Well, I
Dark
didn't-
Ages also has a streamer tax, and it's even worse.
And it's $70 base.
Just for
Yeah.
2 days
Ugh.
early access. I want to hang myself. But besides that, fucking gross. I spent way too much money on video games for streaming content lately. I know it's tax deductible, but Jesus Christ, I fucking game prices
I'll
are
say
inflating
this for
massively. I'll
me
tell you right now.
personally, I don't know if I like the shield stuff for it. It might end up playing fine.
They're trying to
It's
do
just
like
like-
a medieval sort of inspired, more like fantastical one instead of like Earth.
The thing you can see right here, it's like they have guns and all that. It's just like I don't know how I personally feel about a shield in
Yep.
Doom.
I'm
Because
not.
Doom was always about
Yeah.
positioning and movement.
Well, I'm curious to see. I'm a little bit
Well,
more.
that's what I'm saying. I want to see how it plays
Yeah.
before I really say whether or not I like it. Or
So the big
dislike
thing about this one is that I'm hoping they don't do what they did with Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal, in my opinion, was one of the weaker new Dooms, and I think that boils down to my opinion being entirely based on the fact that it was too much about like you need to use the plasma weapon for this, you need to use that for that, rather than being a weapon sandbox and arena.
Sans box.
Sandbox.
Sans.
Comic Sans, Jessica the font. And so I'm hoping that this is a little bit more sandboxian with its approach and letting you do stuff. One thing I will say that I did like about the overall flow of the gameplay, and my criticisms of Doom Eternal, if you remember the stream, and I just really don't like Doom Eternal, honestly, was they focused too much on sync kills for everything, and that's how you get your ammo and resources back. That really interrupted and ruined the flow of gameplay badly. It's why I think Space Marine 2 isn't a very good game. Because while visually cool, the combat is incredibly repetitive. After you see like a cool animation of a kill, like 10, 12, 20 times, it just gets to the point where it's like, okay, like I want to just play the game. Because it's like, I gotta stop, watch a cutscene, stop, watch a cutscene, stop, watch a cutscene. It's not about gameplay anymore, it's about little tiny cutscenes. And this one looks a lot more action orientated, more gameplay centric. And so I'm kind of hoping that it's gonna be in that line. I'm hoping that this is a return to Doom 2016 where, yeah, they got like cool animations for killing stuff, but it isn't overdone to absurdium. And yeah, the shield, I know some people are disagreeing with it, but I think they're doing stuff in the right way because they're adding a lot of mechanical weapons. Like they got a little weapon that fucking nails things to wall. It's sort of like, you know, nothing new, crazy. They've got melee weapons. They've got shields you can throw. And they're going for more fun mechanics. And so I'm cautiously optimistic about this one.
They're doing some of those giant fucking mechs that were in Eternal. So
You can
that's
actually
nice at least.
pilot them. Yeah, because Eternal felt like a missed opportunity and a very much a game that just disappointed me. But Dark Ages sort of looks like
It could be good.
a return to where I wanted Doom to go. Heavily focused on fast action, arena shooter, awesome, badass gameplay, without too many cutscenes or animations, and hopefully not a lot of platforming. The platforming in Doom Eternal really just kind of felt awkward and out of place, and was annoying. And while I really want to like Doom Eternal because it's so long, but I just hate it. I hate how long it is. I hate the platforming. I hate how everything requires you to use like this gun. Like the shield guy shows up, you have to kill him this way. And it's like, okay, well then I have to do it this way. I'm hoping that
Like
Dark
says
Ages
Metal
return.
Gear 3 has streamer tax.
Yes. Oh yeah, we need to talk about that one as well. So yeah, this is a game I'm looking forward to. Doom Dark Ages looks solid. We'll also talk about some of the indie ones I'm looking forward to too. But yeah, dude, it looks good. It looks good. I'm hopeful that Dark Ages is good. I'm hoping, chat. Let me hope. Let me hope, fishies. Hope, fishies.
Oh,
Okay, so the next one we have is Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, which is Metal Gear 3 basically remake by Konami, and it looks pretty promising. One thing I don't like is, again, the price
2
tag
days.
being $70, and again, paying what feels like an exorbitant fee just for 2 days early access. Again, if you're not a streamer, you don't really have to deal with this because the things aren't particularly crazy for what it offers.
wow, a white tuxedo.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Because it's a James Bond reference.
I just want to hang myself when they do that. But yeah, it actually looks pretty good. And as somebody who's not super into Metal Gear, I want to give Metal Gear another shit. Another shit. I think the only Metal Gear I enjoyed was Phantom Pain. But that's because mechanically it was fun. And the other ones were very archaic. But maybe that's just me. And this looks mechanically interesting. And like I'll be bad at it too. But that's okay. I can like games I'm not good at. His eye pop out of his fucking socket. This game's fucking weird. This game's
Don't worry
fucking
about it.
weird. It's a sneak. It's a sneak. But it actually looks interesting, and I've got this on my watch list too. But yeah, we do intend to cover this game as well. And I do recommend taking a look at it because it looks good. I looked at the footage. I looked at some of the interview stuff. It looks like it's going to be a fun game. Oh no, those goofy
Weapon
Russian
to
tanks.
surpass Metal Gear.
I'm just looking at some of these
I hope
characters.
it's just as fucking
and-
goofy as the original was.
It looks
Oh
goofy.
yeah, no, just I'm remembering the original story, and I'm wondering if they're going to change that a little bit for some characters, because some characters' motivations are like extremely stupid.
Oh my god, what? Ape Escape? That was a random fucking ref. That's a game I remember.
Hey.
I hated that game as a kid because I hated chasing after those fucking monkeys.
What about the new Sniper Elite?
I've actually
This
not
is-
looked at it. It sort of got missed on my thing because I looked at it briefly, but the issue is kind of all the Sniper Elites are kind of feeling samey.
It's the
This
same
is
game,
just a
pretty
DLC
much.
for 5. It's just 5. Copy and paste.
It's just a DLC, Resistance.
Yeah, it's quote unquote a new game, but it mechanically and
Ooh.
visually is a copy and paste.
I'm glad I
of
didn't waste
5
money
with a
on
different
this.
character.
Would have spent enough money on fucking video games.
Yeah, I noticed Kyo says about, I'm assuming it's Metal Gear, it's using Unreal Engine 5 against instead of the Fox engine. I have a theory as to part of that. It's why Konami. Remember, they lost Kojima and God knows how many developers when they laid him off. And Konami is
Okay,
still
you're talking about the
rebuilding
other
or
game now. I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? I'm so confused.
Yeah, as I said, Metal Gear. Yeah, Konami lost a disgusting amount of reputation over the years, and they're still struggling to regain all of that. So they have to essentially
Restructure
rebuild
their team,
entire
yeah.
games division. Yeah, from the ground up.
Yeah, I think the issue I have with Sniper Elite as a series is it kind of feels like it's incremental. Like they haven't really done too much crazy new stuff with this series.
It's kind of stagnated.
Yeah,
Stagnant. I played 3, 4, and 5 all the way through, and a lot of the
they all feel the
DLC.
same for those, by the way, too. Three is like the last time there's any differences in the series, and then 3 and going forward all the way to now or 5, because I played 5 as well, is the same. And when I looked at Sniper Elite Resistance, which is a standalone, they don't even give it 6, it just looks more or less like the same game again. Like, they really need to think outside the box and stop regurgitating the same game and actually build on top of it.
What they need to do is scratch World War II, go to a different setting like Vietnam, get an entirely new character, entirely new systems. Because some of the problems is it's supposed to be a stealth game, but no, the AI is dumb as a sack of rocks and has only gotten worse and worse. The novelty, sniping system of where it zooms in and you see the bones cracking and everything, that's gone stagnant. It's like they need to do something with the gameplay to actually reinvigorate it, and the World War II setting is just not doing it anymore.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I want more World War II themed shooters, but I want them to be different, like do something different. Like, let me play as like the Axis or something. Or something different. Something different. We played the same game over and over again. And don't get me wrong, the classics are great, like Return to Castle Wolfenstein, the OG CODs, or the classic Medal of Honors. Those are great. But there's a reason why they stopped making them. There's a reason, because we kind of overdid it. And if you're going to make something set in World War II, you need to do something unique, something refreshing, something different with it. It can't just be the same thing again and again and again, fighting Schneezis. Because don't get me wrong, while the snatchy drip is cool for an enemy, and seeing Americans be badass and beating up Germans is always funny, I would like something new, maybe in a different area or different time period, or maybe alt history or something.
Alt history, Sniper Elite Vietnam, just to throw in one. It's like you have a lot more different guns, a lot more interesting gameplay you could possibly do.
Yeah, maybe make it like a little bit like, you know, your special forces behind enemy lines. It's got survival mechanics too, because you're behind enemy lines. You have to get your own food and supplies, and you're doing like deep operations. You know,
that'd be interesting. That opens a lot of new stealth opportunities and opportunities for gameplay.
What if you just get to play as the Nazis?
Hitler smiles at me.
You're funny.
Every time he smiles, I just think of his balls popping.
Why are you thinking of other people's balls, Gibbs?
Because whenever he sees Hitler,
balls.
the first time I saw Hitler in Sniper Elite was the time when I was playing with somebody and he shot Hitler in the balls to show me, and it popped his balls. And so, like, whenever I see his face in this game, I just think ball popping. It's not my fault. The game lets you pop people's balls. Don't fucking what the fuck me, Kibbs. It's a mechanic. It's a mechanic.
I feel like the game's known more for allowing you to shoot Hitler in the balls than it is actually sniping.
You can pop people's testes when you shoot them, and I hate it.
You get a lot of points for it.
It even gives you a fucking kill animation and everything where it's like, slow down, explosion. And they're like,
His balls.
Yeah.
My balls are gone. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, you just put on your doctor's outfit. Okay, we've got a lot of neutering to do. Let's get to work. Crack some bolts.
It's terrible. This has turned into a CBT stream chat, bros. I'm sorry. The champions don't wake it.
With every stream, with Kib, every stream is that.
Every stream.
Every stream's about popping testes, chat. Ooh. Right, now that we've put in a disturbing image that made us all uncomfortable and sad.
I want to go back to Taco Bell.
Go back to Taco Bell. The promised land of Taco Bell awaits you.
Yeah, let's shut out Taco Bell.
A Cold War espionage game, sniper game might be fun. Yeah, you know what? That's a great idea. A Sniper Elite game where you're a CIA agent who's infiltrated behind enemy lines in like Russia, and you go to different places in the world. You go to Afghanistan, you go to like Vietnam, whatnot, and you have to like snipe out like various communist leaders that are trying to influence other things. But it's also a spy game as well, so it's got more to it than just sniping.
Not just that, but also possible Soviet spies in the West. Also, it's just you have the entire world and
you can have macro currency. No. So you can also have like macro currency, which is like bundles of cocaine, and that's what you're using as currency to upgrade things.
Redford gives a membership and says hands choice cookie.
Chunky.
He enjoyed your voice acting for that fucking ball popping scene. Fucking...
Did he?
I assume that's why he donated. Chat usually donates when they like
Soviet.
this.
The CIA is played out.
What? You want to be a fucking Spetsnaz? spreading communism.
System
You know what? What if they make it so you can be a double agent? You can choose which side. You can go either
Wasn't there...
or.
Oh my god, I
That'd be
need
cool.
to check something.
That'd be cool. Add in some like actual RPG.
Yeah, Sniper Ghost
mechanics.
Warrior was another sniper game series.
So, Harvard, I'd argue this. I wouldn't say that the CIA is played out, but the issue is that like the big bad behind most like gay ops shit like that.
Yeah.
Usually, people just say is the CIA,
It's like, "This is the
but they don't
CIA."
actually. There's not many times where you can play as the CIA guy.
Yeah.
Is
That's
what I
true.
would say.
What about the Sniper Ghost Warrior games?
I
Listen,
don't think I've played it.
those aren't upcoming games, you little Mongo. It's like Mongo. No, what's the other game you guys made me forget about? Doom Dark Ages. Metal Gear 1. Don't you snark at me, Bucky. He's
You're
just
gonna play all the Metal Gear games.
Stellar Blade says Blake.
Stellar Blade comes out this year, yes. Also another game, yeah.
Also, indie games.
Yep, we got indie
It
games.
was
too.
already out. It's just now on PC.
So the big question is Stellar Blade only popular because of its controversy, or is it actually good? Because now we're gonna find out.
Supposedly the gameplay was good.
Okay, that's good.
Supposedly.
I was worried that it was just a lazy like knockoff of Nier Automata, but a lot of people I've talked to actually say it's actually more than just that, which is good.
My
hope.
my
We'll
reservation.
find out.
We'll
eventually.
see. We'll see. Let's be fair to the game until we see. you
I
big
know.
baby.
That's why I
You
said
big
reservation.
bye, baby.
Shiblo.
So yeah.
Kills Billy.
What's the other game? Oh my god, there's
What's
another
your
game. What is it called? Days Gone. This isn't a new game, by the way. But Days Gone,
Oh,
and I'm going to open it up,
remastered.
is getting a remaster of itself. Now, one thing I want to point out with Days Gone is it's actually a surprisingly fun little sandbox game, modern sandbox game. It was cute about it and actually nice about this game, and I don't know if you guys have played it, but it's actually just not woke. It's just, at least I don't remember being. Like, it was one of those games that came out in the hyper woke age, and it was just kind of normal and fun, and it was like a
calls
breath
it
of fresh
Days
air.
Done.
He's
Damn. Hate the dead behind it. He's an a-hole. Listen, separate the art from the artist. I'm always say that because if we think about that, then we'll never enjoy anything, right? It's like Witcher, right? I'm not a particular big fan of Witcher, but I think the video games have merit to them. But the author is he's a
Rants?
bad person. He's a mean person.
Oh yeah, Shadows. That's an upcoming game.
What?
Assassin's Creed.
Oh no.
Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah, that's another one you're gonna play.
the shadow of the ass.
And that's not even on Steam. It's the
It's gonna become a Steam.
Uplay.
No,
Yeah, but isn't it-
Ubisoft's putting all their stuff on Steam now. But yeah, so this game is getting a remaster. Sadly, the remaster doesn't really look like it adds anything. But if you missed out on it, it might be a time to check it out. It's actually pretty cool. It's a fun little zombie shooter. It's better than The Last of Us. The Last of Us was cringe. Oh god, what was the game you said? Shadows? No, there's another game that's better and is worth talking about.
Yep. There's a better one, Gibbs.
What is it, Pork Chop?
You're not gonna know about it. Why would I want you to play good games, Gibbs?
Okay, I remember. We're gonna move on to indie soon. The next one to keep an eye on, chat bros, is Anno Pax Romana. This one just looks fucking good.
Is that indie or is that Ubisoft?
No, I said before we move on to indies.
Okay.
I only have like 2 indies I've been monitoring that I'm like, ooh, these look neat.
When
don't-
is Shadows supposed to come out even?
No, don't talk about that. No,
Mar-
no,
March.
no.
Soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, City Builder coming on the horizon. Now for the indie stuff, real quick. And the only indie I really have my eye on. What's that?
I have to head to the gym, so I'll be probably see you for the Among Us stream.
All right, see you in that one, boy.
See if
This
Wuzzle,
game.
Wuzzle was a bear.
This game is
Dwarf.
developed by the Dwarf team, and it looks great. It's basically like a classic throwback RTS, but instead of it just being a regurgitation, at least from the gameplay footage I've looked at, it looks like it actually has modern amenities and functionalities and features that modern games have, but in an old game format. So it's like uplifting, like the old Command and Conquers,
Like box selection,
into
an attack move.
and queuing, and attack
build
move.
UI on the right side of the screen for reasons.
Yeah, and the build UI being in a reasonable location, and the map being in this place where chat's gonna complain about because my head's in the way.
Coke and hookers.
My head, we can't see because your head in the way. And I know you're just gonna have to cry about it. You're just gonna... But yeah, this game is something that's I'm really looking forward to. Have you looked at the new Dying Light? What? There's another one?
Yep.
This is supposed to be short,
They
chat. Bros.
went back to Kyle Crane, which is the correct decision because he's the best character.
He's just fucking dumb.
He's an idiot.
He's a moron.
He has no personality. He is just I am man who do thing people tell me to do.
I'm jump kick man.
I'm joking, man.
Yeah. Kyle Crane, best character.
But yeah, this game looks pretty good. It's got a really cool art style, really good visuals. I like the 3 factions. They're very dynamic. You've got the Imperial faction that has literal turbo laser towers from Star Wars. Yeah, turbo laser towers.
It's like, zoom in. That's just turbo laser.
Yep. You've got the futuristic sci-fi faction. And
You
you've
got
got
the box faction.
you got
Circle faction,
Mad Max faction.
and then you got orcs.
Orcs but humans, yeah, pretty much. It looks solid. Honestly, recommend wishlisting this bad boy because it looks like it's going to be a nice throwback strategy game. It's got a lot of potential.
Or Dying Light.
Now, so the new Dying Light is what chat want. Now, chat, is there any other new games you want, you little pork chops? Hey, pork
The
chop.
Beast. There was the Beast.
They call it the Beast. They just given up calling it
Well,
numbers.
You're playing as Kyle Crane now. It's a side story.
It's going to be co-op?
I have no idea. Hopefully.
Well, visually, it looks pretty good.
So, Crane is a viral zombie, by the way.
Well, what?
At the end of the first game.
Oh yeah, because he's got the disease.
Oh, a volatile. Yeah, he
Yes.
turns into a volatile.
Very powerful one too.
Yep.
See, Dying Light 1 was actually pretty fun and refreshing. Dying Light 2 really kind of sucked.
They apparently completely redid it, so I do need to go back and see it.
Also, minor critique. I kind of hate how every single zombie movie, when they have someone that wants to be extremely artsy, always fucking chooses that one picture of,
Jupiter eating his kid.
yeah,
Is it
Jupiter, like, eating... It's one of the gods, I forget which one.
Oh no, it's Kronos. I meant
Damn.
Regardless, of one of the old gods just eating his children. It's like, can we do other art pieces? Like,
No.
don't get me
Please
wrong,
don't.
it's thematic, I get it, but
We should have
damn,
Celeste doing that.
it's the same fucking one.
We should have Celeste eating people.
It's terrible.
The same fucking art style. Great.
I hope this is better than Dying Light 2. Okay, vehicles, that's cool. But Dying Light 2, I never bought or played, I don't think. And it mostly boiled down to the fact that it looked like it had none of the nighttime features that the first game had. It looked bad.
It was a bit of a mess, but like I said, supposedly they've completely redone the game.
So they're going to
I'm
go back to
gonna
the
play it.
roots?
Well, they went. The original game was all physics based, and then they went with animations based with the second one. And like
That was a mistake.
Yes, apparently they went and redid the entire game physics based.
Wait, they redid
So-
the game? But this is a new game.
No, Dying Light 2, they redid it at some point.
Oh, they did?
Apparently.
Maybe it's better now. Yeah, I
That's what
avoided
I've
it
been
because it was
saying.
so disappointing.
I need to actually go and like play it through at some point, because apparently it's been completely redone. Like, it has guns now for one, which they were all anti-gun with the game initially.
Well, that's cringe.
So they redid the game a lot. Yeah, one of the things with this one is your Crane, and at night he becomes a volatile.
He's like he's like a werewolf, a were zombie.
So you eat people? That's kind of cool, but I'm going to miss the part where you're chased and hunted at night.
But now you're the hunter.
This Left 4 Dead inspired music. Bruh, Kyle Crane. The fact that he becomes a mindless zombie is funny.
He has more character.
Well, at
when
the
he's a
end of the
zombie.
DLC, apparently the canon ending is he didn't blow up the city, and he actually did escape.
Yeah, it looks good. This has got promise. I'm just hoping that they go back to the roots proper, like under all the mechanics. The
I mean, it's
vehicles are
looking
nice.
like it. Is it Dying Light 2? I intend to go through and look at it again, and maybe it'll be worthwhile playing now.
I actually have never played any of the Dying Lights.
First one's fun. It gets repetitive,
It does
especially
have
with the
co-op,
quest
that's good.
system.
Once I
Yes.
got the grapple,
Oh, it does, nice.
I got bored with the game.
Mm.
Because I became too powerful. I couldn't play the game anymore.
Yeah, when the grapple kind of like by the end of the game, they give you too many things that kind of breaks the game. And the final boss sequence of the
Which
the
is
first
just
game
a QTE.
is just rancid. It's rancid.
Now, I'll say this for Dying Light 2, because I don't think they did any story rewrites. It was purely mechanical reworks that they did. The story's ass. It's worse than the first games.
Mm-hmm. Fast food simulator seems it might cause a keyboard to swish. Maybe I'll destroy you. Check out Eyes of War. Okay, English. I'm gonna look at this, but if it's bad, I'm gonna yell at you. I feel like yelling at you preemptively. This is one of those indie games that's gonna be trying to be like a strategy game, but like I don't know. It's gonna
Oh,
be...
it's trying to do one of those you can take control of them.
There was an RTS that was called like Civilizations Rise to Ruin or something like that. Or I can't remember that did that, and it was very janky.
Most of the things that try to do this kind of blend, they fail on both fronts.
Yep. Because the issue is that it's never going to be optimal to actually play as the character. So here's how this can work, right? The other players play as the soldiers and stuff, and then there's an RTS commander.
Yeah, like Silica.
Because that
Or-
is the only way that's going to work.
You have the roles be like free flow, so you can change like on the fly, and you can have, and then you also have multiplayer that allows the other player to take control of the army while you're being more careful with a certain character.
I mean, it looks like it's
This-
relatively polished, but I think artistically, like they need to get an art department. Because the art direction for this seems very bird. Or
My
very
initial
basic.
impression and thought was that it looks kind of bland.
You know Ultimate fucking
Yeah, that's
Ultimate
what
Battle Simulator, that's what-
some of the armies
Yep.
moving around made me think of.
It also feels like it's made in Unity or whatever. But like a lot of it's like the fabric stuff. It looks very jank. Now the idea of it's really cool conceptually. A samurai versus other guy.
The problem would be the failure of the soldier players to obey the orders from the commander. So the issue is that is going to be any game that has anything like that ever.
Does it have multiplayer, or is this a single player only RTS?
Oh, multiplayer. 2 bucket fishies already want it. Like bucket fishies. I'll put-
show it in stream, so you want to buy it now.
I think they might have done it before I did that. I don't.
No,
I don't believe I'm that much of an influence.
You're that much of an influencer, kid. Ah!
But yeah, usually
So they
the
said-
issue with these games is it boils down to the fact that it lacks vision, or like switching to the action mode fundamentally ruins like the strategy, so you just get your ass kicked because the AIs can't take over or do anything.
Borderlands 4?
That doesn't come out this year, does it? Chat bros. My chat bros are not answering. We's hiding under wax. Okay, well the art stuff coming
End
out.
of year, basically.
Artistically, it looks fine, colorful, visually interesting. My curious question is always going to be how cringe is the writing.
Got a bunch of videos.
You know, we're going to pause our bunchcast music.
I'd rather just have the music, our music, over this.
Yeah, that's bad music choice.
It's terrible.
I don't know what's with these trailers, and they never get like good music for it.
It's usually just some horrendous rap.
Here's some punk or rap or something, and it's like, why? Why did
We're
you?
so hip, cool kids.
Like, what does
We're
this
modern.
mean? Like, what does this have to do with the game? What does this have to? Like,
It's cool.
that's. I think my issue with Borderlands is, oh, they're gonna have the fucking PhysX blood. That's gonna make or break my interest.
I saw some goopy bits at least.
The music choice is really bad in that. Yes. The thing is, it might be fun. Okay, each one of these trailers, by the way, they sloppily just released the same trailer in different languages. Fucking Jesus Christ.
How will they break the siren lore this time? Asks Ragnarok.
Oh, they
I
don't
like how they-
respect their own lore. God, stop.
Oh no,
don't
no,
worry,
no,
guys.
no! Scroll into one of the Psycho's face.
Let's look.
When you scroll into them.
No, I'm not gonna scroll into them. We'll just look.
No, because it reminds me of Veilguard. Actually,
No, I'm not gonna do it.
they had glowing red eyes, even though they never had
Oh
that
no,
before.
black person.
Player from previous game, probably.
It's actually Roland. He's not dead somehow.
The
I
band
can
is.
actually believe that.
Oh my god, they did a fucking movie fight battle where they charge across an open field.
Marvel movie. Wow.
That's so bad. That's not how warfare is conducted. That's retarded.
The issue is everyone is fucking obsessed with doing the battle line charge, and it's just like time
That
and
hair-
place.
That
is-
hair is awful on that girl. Jesus Christ. Artistically, though, the visuals don't look terrible, but Jesus Christ, that hair, dude.
Oh, Kib, look, pod racers.
Star Wars? Is it Star Wars? Does she look? Ooh,
It's Star Wars. Star Wars.
chocolate.
Claptrap's back. Yay.
Hold on, let me.
The only character I kind of care about, actually.
Let me back up.
Of course you do.
He's the
I
only one
bet you that's
not-
our 4 playable characters.
Probably.
Quit turning the music
hate
on.
them.
Fuck.
I hate all of them.
Look, she looks like she was constipated here. Hold on.
Oh, wait.
Look, she.
Yeah.
Like she's pooping herself.
She's girl bossing.
She's music is bad. That guy doesn't
That's
look
the guy
bad.
from the
That guy
third
doesn't look
game.
bad. She don't look bad. The one girl with the side haircut looks real bad though, and that Asian girl, whatever, looks also bad.
If it's anything like 3, it's gonna have a really, really bad story, but have some pretty good gameplay. at
It's
the very
gonna be
least.
about
I heard 3 was
them
pretty
ranting
fun.
and raving about. It's gonna be
Social media.
overt dialogue about how much they hate streamers. Or
I hate
something.
streamers too.
Yeah, me too. I don't want to
Fuck
see.
stream.
I don't want to see a
Only wanna
game
see stream.
reference me as existing though. That's cringe. Like, the games industry shouldn't recognize streamers exist. It
It
should.
reminds me more of Fortnite, says Todd.
But unfortunately, they're acutely aware we exist.
And they've been
And
adding
2K hates
streamers
you.
more and more into it.
Hates streamers
Oh my god.
and content creators with a passion.
Wait, who does?
2K.
2K.
That's good. I'm glad they do.
Randy Pitchford despises Kib specifically.
Well, that means we probably shouldn't see them in the games. Hopefully.
No, that's why they made 3 of the main villains are streamers.
That's cringe. No, I feel like that's not because they hate them. I feel like that's because they're trying to get easy clicks.
I don't like that they made the goggles glow on the mask. Like that takes a lot away from the design of the psychos.
I'm glad that hurts you, Reguline.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck Reguline. Yeah, look, he's
All
got
my homies
he's got no
hate
arms.
Reguline.
He's got look.
Not everything needs to glow.
His peeper is protected, Japro. He's like peep boo. Peep.
You know what the bandits used to use? They used to use a fucking saw blade attached to a stick. That's what they used.
I think this will probably see the thing is with Borderlands. Borderlands will probably be fun with friends. It's just whether or not the story is gonna be like funny or just fucking rancid.
The thing is, it's probably going to be low random humor. That
It's-
is probably
it's-
what it's going to be.
I would rather it
Mhm.
be Reddit cringe than if it's just Reddit cringe. Then it's like okay, I can hold my nose and we can enjoy the game.
Imagine that it's extremely serious, like the entire way through.
It's
Actually-
Borderlands. It's not gonna.
So-
it's a new
no,
Borderlands.
they
Hold
just
up,
take
hold up.
themselves
On my original Xbox 360's HDD, I have a downloaded trailer on there of the original Borderlands trailer, if I remember right, from way back before it was like came out, and it
Well,
looked serious and like edgy.
It
and
was
dark.
Psycho Mask as a meteor hitting a planet or something.
No, the
that
original
one?
Borderlands 1 trailer.
Oh, original Borderlands.
Yeah, it was like that science girl or whatever, and she was talking about like how she was like ravaged by monsters or whatever. And she's like, my body
Yeah, I
hurts.
think the original idea was meant to be a serious thing, but that died very quickly.
Yeah, that did die.
I think when they decided it was going to be a multiplayer game, they wanted to take it in a tonally very different direction.
Yeah, because I wish they didn't. I wish it took itself seriously. Because the more games that so like Deep Rock Galactic takes itself seriously. Helldivers 2 takes itself seriously. I don't love those games. One thing I will say though, speaking of Deep Rock Galactic, while I really like Rock and Stone, I really wish the developers would stop begging to get their game in Helldivers 2. I think that's cringe. It's cringe. Stop doing that.
The developers have been. I saw like a single post that were like, "This would be awesome."
It happened again, like recently,
Oh.
and it's like, okay, they don't wanna like. Pilestat already said
The thing is,
they don't
I
fit
get it.
aesthetically.
They want to ride the new thing of the month. Like, I get it, but it's like they're very different games.
The characters don't even wear full helmets
Mm.
in Deep Rock.
Well, actually, you can get
mine
skins.
do.
Mine does, or what's on mine do?
I was one of the weird people that I actually did not like any of the beard models. So it's like, well, helmet it is.
Yeah, I didn't care for the dwarf aesthetic in Deep Rock at all.
There's a solo
I didn't
leveling
mind the
game coming out
dwarf,
this
it
year.
just-
Is it called solo leveling? What's that mean? What's a solo leveling?
Solo
is
leveling.
a
God.
manhwa.
Oh no!
It is the writing in that is the only reason people love solo leveling is the art was good, was really good. The writing is actually just ass.
That
And
is what
it's literally just character is a Gary Stu.
That's rancid.
That's all he is. Like everything he does, he just does it with like he has to struggle initially barely, and then it's just like yeah, he
Yeah, I
just
like
wins. It's just effortlessly for him. He's just a god, and he's just so cool, and you should love him.
I don't like Gary Stu's or Mary Stu's. I find Ray Skywalkers, whether they have a dick or a fucking badge, to be both cringe. I just think they're boring characters. That's why I don't like the Guardian of Peace from Dynasty Warriors Origins. Guardian of Peace can go guardian to fucking hell.
Really fucking funny that everyone's gay for.
That's
It
the
is
only thing
funny.
that's great because he's like such a Gary Stu, the Guardian of Peace, that everyone's just fucking like they just like immediately turn rabidly rapey or homosexually. Like, oh, I just want to violate you.
You're my best friend. I could
It
not
also didn't help that
imagine a
Kib
day
was
without-
drooling over
As you-
Zhang Fei's
As Zhang
abs.
Fei like wakes up next to you,
Not abs, chest.
Zhang Fei like talks to he's a Guardian of Peace. Like, man, I just like it. Like, I really appreciate your friendship. As he's laying there naked next to you in your bed, and caressing your cheek. He's like, we're the best friends. And he gives you a peck on the cheek, you know, like, "Mwah." He winks at you. And then they try to play it. They try to play it as hetero, and it's funny. It's funny.
As Chow would say, it's not gay to kiss your homies on the good night.
He would say that because Chow Chow's wrong. He's
He's
wrong.
in chat somewhere.
Chow Chow will
Somewhere.
be destroyed.
He was here earlier talking about Deep Rock Galactic.
My dude, he almost dies about 4 times in the 4th season, says Christopher. Uh-oh, we
Yeah,
fight.
I said initially he actually has it, but then very quickly, like mid to end of the rest of the series, he's just a god, and it's completely
Alright.
boring.
Now listen, people are allowed to like things, okay? This one time. Only
Oh,
this
I
once.
enjoyed it, but in retrospect, it's really badly written.
Now, Chatfish, be nice to each other. Chatfish, play.
Feel
Play
bad
nice.
about it.
Chatfish.
This is an attack on you
Chatfish.
specifically, on your moral character, Chap. If you like this piece of media, you are vile.
Oh, the art's good.
Disgusting.
Oh my god, you're now behaving like them. What's that? You play a game I
But
dislike?
Kibbs, he
You're a
learned it
Nazi.
from you.
I learned watching you.
It's like that one person on Twitter the other day who was like fucking like telling me like, oh my god. So you know parasocial relationships. I'm gonna mention this once and we're never gonna talk about it again, but it's because it's cringe. There's this little guy and he's all crumpy frumpy because I like Kingdom Come Deliverance too. It's like whatever, you know. And like he gets so frumpled up about it that he goes to Arch and he tries to complain to one of my friends about it. And I call him out because I'm like, dude, that's fucking cringe. And what's funny is my friend has changed his opinion about this game to positive. So oh my god. I don't know if anybody saw that on Twitter, but it was like my mentions in one of our streams is just filled with comments about this one individual who is totally not coping and seething. And I just okay, as a PSA, chat, if you want to look like you owned the kip, right? And let me just give you some pro tips so that I don't fucking cringe when I wake up in the morning, okay? Like, pretend you won and then just like make your final statement thing and like do your like waddle out like Chatfish style, you know, with sun shades on. Don't look at cool explosions. Don't post 30,000 comments and then tag other people to try to get involved in something. It just looks really pathetic. Just looks.
No, Christopher, it's fine if you like it. I'm not saying you couldn't like it.
I'm just helping you out. Yeah, Alex, take notes. Yeah, please. Because some people, like, they don't really know what taking an L and spinning on it looks like. And I witnessed that yesterday, not like a couple days ago. I forgot how long ago it was. And I can't recall a time that I've never cringed as harder in my life. Like, I felt genuinely, and I still feel embarrassed about it. Like, I'm embarrassed telling you about it, guys. I'm embarrassed for him. And I kind of feel bad for him. That's why I'm not going to bother him and make fun of him anymore. So, I'm just saying, for your sake, chat, whenever you disagree with Kib, because some of you need actual help with this, like, don't be cringe about it. Like, just do it in a way that makes you look like you're respectable. Please, don't do that. Don't be cringe. Don't be cringe.
No. Only me.
Like, there's one only. Yeah, I like to have this diluted perception that, and I know it's not diluted. My audience is better. That's why I filtered him out. Okay,
They're better.
you guys are better
They're
than everyone
better.
else's audience. You're my audience. You are superior. You are chat bros, chat fish. No one is as cool as you. Okay, so please, for the love of God, don't shame Chatfish's honor by doing what that guy did. Okay, just don't be cringe. Don't. Just please. I want to wake up and not fucking.
We're awful, but we're yours. You're stuck with us.
Maybe should do Nekapara again to filter out people again.
I don't blame some people for not using Twitter. I just use it to basically make shit posts half the time and half the time make up shit and lie. Because I find it funny to argue with people. In this particular case, I was actually being genuine about like Kingdom Come Deliverance too. But damn. It really just depends on what mood I'm in the morning, honestly. It's kind of like a vent platform for me. But yeah.
Easiest way to tell when Kibbs goes up, he immediately posts something.
Yep, post something right away.
Kip says he's gonna go to bed. We see him on Twitter.
I make a few
Tell him to go to
posts to
bed.
get clicks and get followers. I'm like, oh fuck, I haven't posted on Twitter in a while. Post several super hot takes and controversial opinions that I don't even agree with fully. Or maybe I do. A lot of the ones I've been posting that I do agree with, though. I've been trying to take myself a little bit more seriously on the platform. But sometimes I get a little bored. And sometimes people just make it easy to bait people, so I just, can't help it. Like, I'm easy to bait, but when I think that you're easy to bait,
Yeah,
damn.
like for example, Kibbs hates all of RTS.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. Loser.
You said it though. You said it.
Well, Squilly, you're gonna be alright, Squilly. 2,000 streams of Europa Universalis 4. Oh my god, Squilly. I need you to play that game. You need to play Europa Universalis 4, okay?
No.
Think about it. Hold on, stop. Just a second. Okay, think. Think about how miserable you'll sound. Oh my god. I will think
Yes,
about
Chad,
how awful
it's
the
true.
experience would be for you. Like, just think about how much you'd hate every second of your existence. I want
you
you
to check out Assembly RTS and Ninja Gaiden Black 2 remake.
Oh my god. He's like the only Chatfish that suggested we look at things. What the fuck? Ninja Gaiden to black. That's racist.
It's Koei again.
Mostly positive. Oh my god, look at them cheeks.
That's a man.
No, that's what I said. Look at them cheeks. This is good. I don't know anything about these games. I think I've heard they're hard. Is this like the Dark Souls before Dark Souls? Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck? There's a girl with a gun? What? I'm very confused.
Don't think about it.
4, or I guess in this case 2, it's kind of a decent ways into the franchise, and the franchise was already
Weird.
over the top, as you can see.
Yeah, okay.
Well, he's dead.
They're showing you
I think
dying.
Paolo is into these games. I have no reason to believe that. He never said it before, but I would believe that he was into these games.
What was the game? Assembly RTS?
Paolo.
I can see that.
Unleash your forces. No gameplay footage. Those are vehicles. Those are...
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
map.
Okay, you build
These
your
are people.
units. Yeah, like Earth 2150. My issue with a lot of
Wow.
these RTSs is they're a little too rudimentary. Like, okay,
Features.
let me help you.
Feature.
Challenges. AI generated content disclosure.
Wait, they have that?
It's right there.
Nice. I'm glad Steam actually makes them have to do that. But yeah, no, so like one other thing. One of the things
Cyberp
is
offering
this.
to help you learn EU4
Yeah.
regular line.
This game, Sanctuary Shattered Sun, this shit looks good. This is a spiritual successor to Spring Commander. Like, you want to know about RTSs that I'm looking forward to? This one. I've been keeping an
What
eye
about
on this one.
annihilate the
Shut up and
Scans?
look at what I'm looking at. Shut up and look at it. Look at it.
I'm looking away now.
Look at
Just
that.
out of
Doesn't it
spite.
look good? Look at the tits on that. Snaps his eyes
What?
back. This looks pretty good.
Sanctuary, Shattered Sun. Check out Annihilate the Spans.
I don't want. I want you to look at what I want to look at without having to do whatever you want to do. Because it's about me, not you. You're dumb, me smart. This is another one of those little indie RTSs. I don't know why, but I'm just so negative towards indie RTS. I shouldn't be. But like, they're always kind of like the same. They're usually like, this is that one RTS, but done poorly. And it's like,
I won't
God,
even play the video.
what is it? Why do you want me to look at it?
I don't know. It could be interesting.
Did Chatfish mention it? Is that why?
No, I'm mentioning it.
Visually, it looks kind of a bit bland, but you know that's not doesn't have to be good. Okay, there's a lot of models. Oh, they sort of they all sort of
They just poop
assembled at
out.
the same time. Okay, so like what? It's automated, so they just build and send stuff at each other?
Yeah, it's just massive space battles.
I mean, it's neat, but that doesn't have a lot of gameplay. It's just a visual spectacle. Spectacle
Yeah.
strategy
I
games. are
never
never my
watched. I
favorite.
never watched the video.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say spectacle real-time strategy games are usually not my favorite. Hence why, like, things like Sanctuary Shattered Sun, it's not really spectacle. Like, it has spectacle if you look at it, right? But it's actually got a lot of gameplay, like with unit builds and stuff, and like what you're sending. And it's a macro RTS.
I think that's what Annihilate the Spans was trying to be, is a macro RTS as well.
Yeah, but there's like only one good macro RTS I know of, and it's called fucking Supreme Commander. And this is literally just a spiritual successor to that. That's it. That's all this is.
And I have this paint as a demo I haven't tried yet.
Shattered Sun. Oh, this, yeah. Yeah, this looks good.
Were you just confused by the old video? The video?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about? Shattered Sun chat? Like, no, I was reading chat. I'm like, what is Shattered Sun? Sanctuary. Oh yeah, no, subtext is Shattered Sun. The name is.
You're like, the fuck is this thing? No, that also has a demo.
The name of the game isn't particularly good, but here's what it says: demo. I don't really care. I want it to be done, but yeah.
Yeah, but a demo's a good way to actually test out a game.
Demos are good, but they're gonna have to update that demo considering how early this game is.
Oh, it was probably for you can't even play it. It was for probably the
Yep.
One of the fests.
Yeah, it's just for these kind of games I can be patient. But it looks promising. But yes, I think it's time for me to make a little bit of lunch for myself real quick, and then it's time for us to raid into our next stream, because I think we've gone through all the topics, and we've discussed some video game news, and then we'll move on to Chatfish community event. So chat, I have to play a game that you guys funded called Among Us. Yes, you did in fact fund this game. And I'll get anyone here in this room, VC room, I'll take care of it. For people who recommend against this, that's funny. So many of my friends own this, holy crap.
It's a cheap game.
It's $5.
So yeah, we're gonna play this with you guys because you guys want me to. I have made it this far in my life without playing Among Us. I made it a total of 7 years.
It's more expensive than Bad Rats.
I made it 7 years pretty much. Okay, I almost made it to death, but you guys finally made me play it. I hope you're fucking happy with
it's
yourself.
6 years because of the months.
True.
I'm happy. I have 84 friends who.
I remember looking at that and going like, I'm not interested in this, and then fucking Chumba's like, oh, let's fucking.
Lol, said Chumba. Lamau, said Chumba.
Yeah, so we'll be playing this. Kibbs will be getting fucking A, murdered, B, accused of things he didn't do, as usual, and flung into space. So, if you'd like to partake or hang out for that one, we'll catch you in the next stream. Next stream is going to be starting in about 15 minutes, 15 to 10 minutes. I just have to warm up some food real quick, and we'll see you in the next stream. Thank you for your generous Chatfishy donations. And for those of you who do not follow us into the next stream, you have a fantastic day. We will see you later, chat, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Goodbye, Chatfishes.